Hello, friends, and welcome back to Virtual Strangers. I am your host, West, and with me, as always, are my friends Justin, Alex, and Roots. It was a week absolutely packed with VR news, so let's not delay. Let's get into it. In my opinion, the news of the week, the biggest news as far as games go, Polyarc Games announced this week a massive update to Moss. One of everybody's favorite platformers is getting a new level. It's called the Twilight Garden update, and apparently this is kind of like a sub-level that's accessible with entrances that are hidden throughout the game. The update's going to bring new weaponry, puzzles, and enemies, and it launches exclusively on Quest this Tuesday, and then will come to all other major platforms in a month's time, sometime in June, I would imagine around the third week, a month or so later. Justin, are you going to play through Moss again when this happens?
I think I will, but I'll do it on PC. I kind of have a hard time justifying buying this a third time on Quest. I might wait for it to go on sale. I don't know. But definitely I'll play through this again, yes.
So you're saying you're going to play through it again, but since they're not supporting the cross-buy, you're not going to go drop the 30 on this game again, right?
Oh, well, I didn't buy this for Oculus. I bought it on Steam and I bought it on PSVR.
Right. So you're like me. That's me. I've got access on Steam and PSVR. So even if they did offer it as cross-buy, you're still not going to buy it again anyway.
Yeah, $30 is a little tough.
Yeah, I agree. Alex, are you going to play through Moss again?
I don't think I'll play through it again. Maybe I'll go into it and end up playing through it again. But I mean, I want to play through the. You said it's a massive. Like, how big? We like this big?
Well, it says that entrances to the Twilight Garden will be hidden throughout the game. So I imagine I don't know if you can access the entire level from the beginning of the game. I would imagine, again, this is just my assumption, that it's going to be segmented and you're going to get parts of it as you progress through the game.
I've heard that it's going to be like a more open world. There's going to be different weapons and shields and upgrades and stuff. So it sounds like it's going to be a reasonable size content. It's not going to just be a short little area. But I know that they've said that with the second game that they're going to be making it more open world. So maybe this is like a teaser of what's to come in the proper sequel. But the fact that they're doing it is good because the game itself is great, but it is a little bit short. So if they add extra content, that definitely helps improve the game. You know, even if it's an extra 30 minutes, it makes it, you know, another 30 minutes of Moss is great to me. So
I agree, and to be clear, they have stated that they're still working on the sequel, so we don't have to worry about that. That stuff's still coming. And yeah, I noticed on Twitter last week they were before they announced this, they were putting out pictures and screenshots of new weapons and items for Quill to use. Kind of piqued everybody's curiosity. I kind of wrote it off as being for the sequel, but then soon thereafter we found out that there's new content coming, free DLC, might I add, to the game. I guess kind of a way for them to soften the blow that, hey, we're not going to support cross-buy, but we are going to support our title. So, Roots, you going to play through it again?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's brilliant that they're doing this. It's when it's coming out, even whether you're going to get it a cross-buy or not, it's getting it talked about more than just an average game that's coming out on the Quest. I'm kind of falling a little bit differently. Like, you know, with the devs, we're always talking about how devs aren't making much money. Now, Moss is a little bit different. You know, I'm sure they've made some money, but I don't necessarily have as much problem paying another $30 for a game if I feel like it's going to support the developers a little bit more. If it's a game like if I had the Quest and it was something I wanted to play again on it or experience differently, I just feel like as consumers, we're very greedy. We're always looking for everything. We already get these games cheaper than mainstream. That's half price mainstream, right? $30. And people are like, I would get it if it was 10, it was 15. I kind of look at it as like, well, let's fuck the devs, you know? they're struggling. A lot of them are going under. They can't make games. And I'm not knocking Justin for say if you already own it, I'm not going to run out and buy it just to support them. But I just look at that just a little bit differently in the sense of it might cross my mind if I was even curious about checking it out on the Quest. Well, fuck it. It's going to help the developers maybe make the next game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I kind of get it. I see both sides of this. I see why Oculus wants their Quest to be considered on par with their Rift. They want to sell us parity between their devices, but I kind of see it from the developer standpoint too. Why should I go through all this work to bring my title to a new platform and not be compensated for it? More on this discussion later. We're going to discuss some of the Quest titles and pricing, and we'll talk a little bit more about cross-buy when we get to that part of the news. Anybody else with anything else on Moss?
I'll just say to the point what Roots was saying, that it's not a charity. And obviously these devs don't. Yeah, if you want to support the devs, but if Justin's already bought it on PSVR and he's already bought it on Steam, I don't know. I mean, paying it again for another $30 again for it just to play the same game. It's just I don't personally agree that we should just pay just to feel like we're supporting the devs. I think that if they've already got our $30 twice over, then I don't think we should then feel obliged to pay for it again. So.
Well, that's not what I was saying, though. I specifically didn't say that, but I don't know.
I didn't really get what you meant, to be honest with you.
No, I was just saying that it's like I specifically said, Justin. I get exactly that. I wouldn't buy it just to buy it, just to give the devs money. But if it's just in the back of my mind that the devs are struggling. A lot of devs, maybe not Moss, but exactly what Wes was saying. It costs money. It costs developer time to port it over. It's not as easy as everybody makes it. So for them to want to be compensated for it, I understand. But I agree with you. Don't run out and buy it just because you want to support the devs. But if I did have a Quest and I was even curious, that's how I could justify myself into buying it. Is at least the devs are it's gonna support them. That's I guess what I meant.
I just want to say that if you don't have Moss, this is a must buy.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
It's worth the $30, definitely. I mean, it's especially with the extra content now. It's a great game, so it's definitely worth buying. Obviously, if you want to buy it again, that's your decision. So.
Yeah, there's other games out there, right? So.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you've got it already, you're going to spend like $30 on that or something else. So we've not got an infinite amount of money, unfortunately. So it's difficult.
I'll wait for this to go on sale. It'll probably be on sale around Christmas time, and then that's about the time I'm going to see family and show them my Quest.
Oh, that's a good idea.
It's a good demo. It's a good demo game because obviously it's cute, little mouse. There's no movement. It's I showed my girlfriend it and she loved it. So it's definitely one for the women to kind of Google over, really.
Just the whole intro, the story and everything, the way that it's really cool sitting in that cathedral and looking around and stuff. I think it really does showcase VR.
Yeah, absolutely. I concur 100%. If you own VR and don't own this game, then you're missing out. You definitely need to pick it up. And I think it's cool that they're giving Quest owners that 1 month exclusivity. So they are getting a little something if they do decide to buy this again. I personally won't be buying it again unless it's on a sale or something like Justin says. My entire thing with getting it for the Quest, outside of course having it to show as a demo, I'm just curious to see all these ports on Quest and see what the differences are and what the people at Oculus were able to do with this standalone device. But it's purely curiosity. It's not worth dropping another 30 on. Hopefully, at some point there will be a demo on the Quest the same way there is on PSVR, so we can get a look how this title looks on Quest without dropping a full $30 on it. Anything else on Quest? I mean, Moss for Quest.
Nope.
Okay. Moving on. D-Day's coming on Tuesday. You know, the day we've all been waiting for. We got new hardware. We got the Quest coming. We've got the Rift S coming. It's an exciting time to be a PC VR gamer right now. But what about the PlayStation VR community? I'm sure they've got Blood and Truth coming next week. Trover's coming to them next week. But what are they going to do while everyone's sitting around enjoying their new hardware this week? Well, never fear, PSVR community. First Contact Entertainment has got your back because they announced a couple of days ago a massive, and even more massive than the Moss, the Firewall Zero Hour Nightfall, Operation Nightfall update. This is a huge update. It almost makes Firewall a completely different game. And Firewall, let me say this up front, is a great game. You've heard me many times on here and elsewhere sing the praises of Farpoint as being the best overall aim controller game for PlayStation VR. Firewall Zero Hour, what it does better than Farpoint does on any aspect. As far as tactical, co-op, competitive first-person shooter, Firewall can't be beat. It does it better than Farpoint does story mode or any of the other modes. I do believe that Firewall is another must-own title if you have an aim controller. But this update, it's coming on May 21st, the same day that Quest drops and all these games are dropping on Oculus. This is going to be a free update to the anyone who owns the Firewall Zero Hour already on PlayStation VR. It's promising a new progression system, new maps, new contractors, new weapons, and more. The biggest update to the game itself is it's bringing in objective-based gameplay, which is something that we didn't have before. This used to be a straight competitive multiplayer scenario, and now they're adding in missions to the fold. And by completing missions, you get rewards. Some of them are cosmetic, others will be new weapons and abilities, and even contractors. And even though this is a free update for all owners, there's seasonal paid content. Just like Fortnite, you're going to pay $10 per season. I think it's going to be about an 8-week season, and it's going to give you access to a lot of stuff that does not come in the free update. As you can see on the graphic here, everyone's going to get 2 new maps. Everyone's going to have daily tasks, and there are going to be 8 free missions, one coming per week throughout the season. If you pay for the update, you're also going to get 8 more premium missions and 8 more bonus missions. So more missions equals more content, and another way for you to enjoy this game other than just getting in there and killing a bunch of people, or in my case, getting killed by a bunch of people who live in that game. 2 new contractors are going to be exclusive to the paid season pass, 2 new skills exclusive to it, and legendary weapon skin. All of this exclusive for the duration of the season. At the end of the season, this stuff gets entered into the general population and can be earned and purchased by leveling up and spending your in-game currency to achieve and acquire these things. There's also, in addition to this, if you're like me, I kind of fell out of Firewall a while back because it's dominated by these people who live in it and grind on it every day and level up way ahead of everybody else. And if you're like me, you don't have the kind of time to put into one game like this. So they're taking that into account. They're also going to be offering these $5 hack packs. So if you want to gain the benefits and the rewards from completing the missions, without actually putting the time into completing them, you can give them another $5 and hack the mission, and all of a sudden you've got the rewards. But uh, they did point out that the rewards that you receive by hacking the mission are only cosmetic. You won't get any functional rewards by buying your way through a mission. So uh, that is important to know. There's also a new AI in training mode. If you go into the team training where it's multiplayer, you and your friends versus the AI bots, the AI bots have been redone to more closely mimic in-game actions taken by human players. So I guess they've had this 6 or 9 month window to study how people play, and now the AI is going to behave more closely to a real player. So that's a pretty cool update. There's also updates to the user interface. You're going to be able, from the lobby now, to customize your character, weapons, and abilities instead of just sitting there staring at the wall, waiting for the match to come together. You're going to be able to do a lot directly from the lobby now that you weren't able to do before. So, all in all, a welcome update to a pretty much one-dimensional game, bringing a lot of new facets to the gameplay and interface, AI, everything. A complete overhaul of Firewall. Roots, have you played Firewall? And if so, is this update enough to get you to go back in and play it some more?
Oh yeah, I actually bought the Firewall AIM controller package back when I got my AIM controller, and it is. I think I am going to check it out because just everything you said, all the AI, I mean, I do question whether I mean, it doesn't sound like they fixed the lobby taking so long to fill because they've given you something to do in the lobby. So I'm glad that I can do something in the lobby. I just wish that they would get the games filled quicker. Hopefully that'll be something. But yeah, it sounds really, really intriguing, all the changes, although I'm really not too happy on microtransactions at all. It sounds like a slippery slope.
You pretty much summed up how I feel about it too. I'll end up going back in, checking out the free content. Maybe the missions will be cool. Maybe it'll be something that I want to pay for more of. But just looking at it from outside of the box, I'm a little skeptical about the paid aspect of it. When they started doing these microtransactions, they told us that it would only be for cosmetic items. And now here we have 2 new contractors with 2 new skills, and we have these premium missions with rewards that are functional in the game. So that kind of seems like a change in the vision and scope of this game, which who knows? I don't want to judge it without trying it, but I'm skeptical to say the least, viewing this from a distance. Justin, are you okay with a $40 VR game that's less than a year old, putting seasonal content behind a paywall?
Yeah, I have no issue with paywalls as long as people are willing to pay for it. It's capitalism, you know. If you want it, you buy it. So I have no issue with that. But I have a question about this graphic here. Like it says 8 free mission rewards. Now, what does that exactly mean?
That means that there's going to be a weekly mission, a free mission that's added into the game. And I don't know if the mission's going to be like a story-driven thing or if it's going to be like a go here and destroy this or go here and collect this. I did reach out last night for some clarity on this, but got no response. So I don't know what the nature...
My guess would be it's probably similar to like Battlefield games where you have to get so many kills with a certain gun or you have to get so many headshots or something, and then if you achieve that mission then you'll probably get a new skin or something like that. I don't think it's going to be a separate mission as in you going and having to do some, you know, like a single player thing. I think it's going to be while you're playing the game you have to do certain tasks with certain weapons maybe to unlock the mission. That's what my guess would be based on what I've seen on other games.
The way I interpret it is that this is like something you can earn in a mission that isn't a new mission. It doesn't sound like new missions to me. The 8 free,
Well,
8 premium, 8 bonus.
What they have stated, and this goes to what Alex was saying, is that this mission system is going to replace the old challenges system that came with the game. So I don't know if you're familiar with it, but there are challenges just like what Alex was describing, where you go in and get so many kills with this weapon or so many headshots, and you get an achievement for it. So this new mission structure is replacing that. So it probably is going to be similar to these types of objectives.
So I bought the bundle with the aim controller, and I kept the aim controller and I sold Firewall on eBay because the game itself is really good. If this came out for PC VR, I would love it. I would buy it immediately. The problem I can't deal with is the tracking. 180-degree PSVR tracking. A game like a multiplayer first-person shooter like this is so hectic that I want to be able to like spin around really fast, like and look behind me and everything, and like I just get too frustrated being used to that with PC VR. I just can't. Like a game like Farpoint, I can deal with it because Farpoint is single player. You know the enemies are coming from mostly in front of you. It's, you know, I don't feel like I have to spin around, you know.
It's not competitive either, right?
Yeah, it's not
competitive.
Well, to be fair, there are competitive modes in Farpoint. It's more of a 1v1 thing.
Oh, yeah.
But this is a fair criticism. As compared to Farpoint, the tracking in Firewall does have some issues. The aim controller does drift. Now, to be fair to the game, there are ways that you can mitigate this, but I mean, it's really, for me to get rid of it entirely, I had to put my camera at like 7 feet looking down on me like a shower head. And I got tired of doing that every time I wanted to go in and play Firewall. So I kind of have a happy medium here. I've got my camera set at about 6 feet, and it makes it more manageable. But this is absolutely a fair criticism of this game. A lot of people have had this same criticism that the aim controller drifts a lot in Firewall. So I get where you're coming from there.
Let me ask you this, though, you know, speaking on, like you were saying, capitalism, because it is, I mean, obviously you can't begrudge them for if somebody wants to pay money, because that's the biggest thing is people that don't have money get pissed because they can't get it, and that's not really a legitimate reason for them to not put it into it. But my biggest issue with it is, and I don't know too much about it because I haven't played enough of this game, but like the contractors have special abilities, right? And that I'm assuming 2 new skills. You know, it's not like weapon skins. This is a season of a competitive game. When that 10 weeks, it's actually 10 weeks. Those 10 weeks matter. That's when you want to win in that particular season. But you've got, you know, people out there that do have money, and now they've got a competitive edge. Maybe they've got the contractor that does something really badass. I mean, I just feel like it sets people on an uneven level, and that's my problem with it. I do think it's a slippery slope for microtransactions, but I mean, really, if it's weapon skins and that type of stuff, and people don't want to waste their time, they would rather pay for something. I don't have a problem with that, but I think competitively, it's not a good idea at all.
Yeah, I think that's a fair criticism, and it's a criticism I already had about this game beforehand. Is it's heavily weighted, the way that the game is structured is heavily weighted to those people who grind in it every day. And I think that this update and this seasonal stuff is very much playing to that crowd. This is for the people who play Firewall and only Firewall every day. But what I mean by the game already being weighted toward it is the way Firewall has worked for me, and again, I like the game, I enjoy it, but anytime that I've went into it, I can't play it all day, every day. I go in, I get matched up with 3 or 4 people from around the world. Some of them don't speak English, some of them don't speak at all, and this is a game where communication is key. So I get teamed up with these people that are lower level, level 10 and below. I get thrown into a game with people who are level 40 to level 50 that live in the game, who are on a team with people that they know and practice with, and I get murdered. And that's fine. I understand that I would have to grind my way up to their level. But the thing is when they win and you lose, they get 6 times the XP and 6 times the crypto that the loser gets. So that gap between them and us gets wider and wider and wider with every match. And then here you go. We have this paid content that all these guys are going to buy, and now they're going to get even more abilities and weapons that we don't have, and it's just going to make that gap even wider. So, more power to them. I'm glad that this game is getting some kind of variability in the gameplay. It's not going to be all one track anymore, and I'm definitely excited to check it out. But I'm approaching this with a huge skepticism, and hopefully it makes it better for the new player. But they didn't even address everyone's biggest problem with the game. Yet again, here's another update from these guys, and no word of a dedicated server system coming to it, or even a host transfer system. Because the biggest problem with this game is you could be in there playing it, and if you kill whoever's hosting the game and they rage quit, game over for everybody, back to the lobby, and more waiting. People have complained about this since day one, and they keep giving us a "we hear you" response to it, as if they're doing something about it, but they keep releasing these big updates and not addressing this biggest glaring issue with the game. Again, this is something that I reached out for comment on last night, got no response. Maybe they didn't get my message. We'll just assume that, give it the benefit of the doubt. But this is a question that they're getting from everyone, not just me, and I think that they need to address it fairly soon. That said, I do want to say that the developers of this game are going to be interviewed this week by Brian Paul on PSVR Without Parole channel. So I'll be interested to see what kind of questions Brian asked them and what they have to say, because if Brian don't ask them about this, I'll be shocked.
Well, he said, I don't know if you listened to that, but he did say that he's expecting to be told that he can't ask certain questions. So if he doesn't ask those questions, he's probably being told beforehand he's not allowed to ask them, which is not good, obviously. I have heard some bad things about these devs with the way they respond to the community and their feedback. Wasn't there something about the lobby, people complaining about the length of time in the lobby, and he said that was done on purpose to because so people don't get motion sick or something stupid like that, and that was on a Reddit post or something, and someone put a long list of points that they didn't like about the game, and the dev responded saying you don't know what you're talking about, and just general attitude of one of the, I think it's a lead guy. So I'll definitely watch that interview, and it'll be interesting to see if he asks the questions people are wanting to answers and whether they give the answers to them or not. So.
Right. And to be fair, I didn't read this Reddit post, but I did hear it, just like Alex did on that Without Parole channel. So if that's true and that was put that way, yeah, that is kind of dismissive of the community. And I think it just speaks further to what I was saying before about these developers catering to their crowd and not so much to the new user.
Well, it's a small community. It's more important than ever with this, that you should be listening to what the people actually want, rather than just doing what you feel is right. So I don't like devs like this. I think there's certain devs, like the Gearbox dev, is it Randy, what's his name? He comes out with some stupid shit at times, and it just leaves a bit of taste in your mouth when you know that the guys behind it are kind of just very stubborn and just they want to do what they want to do, and they're not going to listen to feedback. So
yeah, I get it. I agree. I bought 2 copies of this game. I like playing it. My wife likes playing it. My daughters like playing it. So the fact that I've shelled out, money for 2 retail hard copies of this already, I think should be enough to give my say as much weight as anyone else in the community. I don't particularly appreciate the fact that if, say, myself and my wife and daughter want to go in and experience everything this game has to offer, that I'm going to be asked to shell out $30+ every 8 weeks. But that said, I'm glad for this update, and I am looking forward to checking it out.
I just can't believe you have multiple females in your house that like to play Firewall. That's amazing.
Well, that's the power of the aim controller, man. It's not particularly the strength of this game, but we ran through Farpoint frontwards and backwards and sideways and every which way we could go, and they wanted a new aim controller game, so we decided to get into Firewall. We don't grind on it every day like a lot of people do, but we do go into it from time to time and play together.
Lucky man.
That is awesome. Yeah.
Anything else on Firewall?
Nope.
I think we covered that one pretty well. This next item of news has got me so excited I can barely contain myself. I am a huge Walking Dead fan, and this week Survios has announced a new VR game based on the television version of AMC's The Walking Dead. They promise for this to be a more advanced VR zombie game by using what they call progressive dismemberment technology. It sounds like it may be something more akin to a lot of the melee games that we've played before, where you can dismember the zombies and they keep coming. And that's true to the television show as well. There's going to be 2 modes of gameplay. One is a story-driven campaign featuring a story that's exclusive to the game, occurring within the universe of the television show. I think it is happening during the Rick Grimes era, so it won't be present time on the television show. It will be at least something that's happened during season 8 or before. And the second game mode is a classic supply run mode with randomized weapon and item pickups. This sounds like maybe a wave shooter type thing.
It sounds a bit like Left 4 Dead for me. If it's a supply run, it would indicate that you happen to go to a certain place, and maybe it's like a Left 4 Dead style where you're going to be going from one point to another and you've got to survive as you go, which could be awesome. I mean, we all want Left 4 Dead. So
that sounds awesome, and scavenging, I think, is should be an important part of any zombie apocalypse game, especially a Walking Dead game. And if they're giving an entire mode to supply runs, awesome, beautiful, I love it. Just last week, or maybe it was the week before, you can watch our episode and see what I think about Survios as a developer. I think that Survios is the top VR game developer in the world today, bar none. And I think that this is a perfect match. If AMC is going to do a game of The Walking Dead, Survios is the best place to go to make that a reality. Roots, are you a Walking Dead fan? And if so, how pumped are you for this title?
Oh, hell yeah. I love The Walking Dead. Although I haven't seen anything with Rick Grimes, what you were describing, so no spoilers for me. But yeah, no, I'm really excited for this, and for the same reason you're excited, Survios. There's so many mediocre zombie games out there, and like we're craving the actual legit one. And like, who doesn't want to be Carl? No, just kidding. But I think it would be. I think it's going to be amazing, and I'm hoping because I was just thinking the other day when I saw this was a topic, and we were talking about Arizona Sunshine the other day, and I came into VR last January, and it was 2 years old, and so I wasn't blown away by Arizona Sunshine. It was cool, but just a lot of things that I saw bugged me about it. And so, like, I don't think we have a legit zombie game out there in VR, not even close. I think, that might be the closest one, and it's outdated by 3 years now. So I think this, just from the picture or this trailer, it looks pretty cool. So.
Yeah, I agree. I do like Arizona Sunshine, but it's for different reasons. I like it as a co-op game, and I like it as an introduction to new players, because it's slow-paced, easy to pick up, and it's a good way to introduce someone who has only played seated VR into playing something with locomotion. But I agree, as far as an overall zombie apocalypse game goes, Arizona Sunshine lacks a lot in story and in scavenging, like I was talking about before. I wish there was a lot more of a scavenging for supplies element to Arizona Sunshine. That said, Contagion VR Outbreak is in development, making progress all the time. It promises to be a little bit more, have a little more depth than Arizona Sunshine, but they better get to market soon, because if they wait until The Walking Dead gets their game on the market, I think it might be curtains for Arizona Sunshine as well as Contagion. Justin, are you a Walking Dead fan?
Yeah, I watched Walking Dead and the Fear of the Walking Dead. I haven't liked the latest episodes. I think of either of them. I like the older episodes more. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna get this, and it sounds like the melee is gonna be really good, so I'm excited about that. Another good zombie game that's co-op that has melee is Killing Floor Incursion.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Killing Floor is pretty awesome. I'm kind of on the fringes of calling that a zombie game because of the way the game's set up. But yeah, totally agreed. Killing Floor is an awesome co-op zombie game as well. Alex, what about you? Pumped for this?
Yeah, I mean, it's Survios. I used to watch Walking Dead, but I stopped after in the Negan era. I think I just got tired of it, really. I think sounds like a lot of people have stopped watching it, so I'd be interested to see what the viewer numbers are, whether they've been dropping. But I used to love the show, but it just felt like repeat at the same time. They get comfortable, they find somewhere, and then something happens, and then they're struggling for their life again. But it'll be interesting to see how Survios do this, because obviously Walking Dead's always been like a survival series, really, where they've struggled for obviously guns and ammunition, and it's been about survival. So I'm hoping that they keep with that theme with this, where they don't give you loads and loads of guns and ammo, and you kind of having to scrounge for ammo, and you're having to choose when to shoot, when not to shoot. Maybe sometimes you have to sneak past them and try and not disturb them. It looks like, from obviously there's no gameplay footage, but you can see that they've got a sword stuck in its head and a knife stuck in its head. So I'm guessing it's going to have some sort of blade and sorcery type melee combat, where you can actually stab them and stick them and slice their heads off, and which give us blade and sorcery, but with an actual game behind it. And I'm there, definitely there. So yeah, this is one I'm hoping it's going to have co-op. I don't know if they said co-op or.
Yeah, I think it is co-op.
For the single player as well, or do you know if it's just?
I don't know about that, but I do believe this is up to 4-player co-op. There's 4 characters that you can choose from, and the weapons in the game are weapons from the television show. So I imagine you'll be able to use Rick's Colt. You'll be able to use Daryl's crossbow.
Well, yeah, you can see it there. His Colt there, and the crossbow, and the sword as well. So.
Right. So the weapons in the game are the weapons from the show, which means there's going to be projectile shooting as well as melee combat.
I just hope that they do. I just hope that they pace it. Like it's not just shoot. Combat. I hope that they do have times when you can go stealth and.
There really needs, for this game, for me to be successful, or at least in my mind. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to control if it's successful, but no, it needs to have like hordes of zombies chasing you. There has to be an element of like, oh my God, I need to get the fuck out of here. Like, I need to turn around and see like 30 of them running at me. Like that's, like you said, Arizona Sunshine is so slow paced, and we have the traditional zombies, but like what was it? The one where they hid in the movie where they hid in the mall. I can't remember which, not the Walking Dead, but the zombie movie where like that. Yeah, it was like one of the first ones that I saw where, like, the opening scene, this woman comes out or is looking on her porch, and this zombie's chasing this car full force, and out of the corner of his eye sees her and beelines for her instead of the car and just attacks, and it's so quick. Like, I want that zombie game. I don't like the slow moving traditional zombies.
Yeah. What was that film? 7 days. Was it 7 days? Was it 7 days later or something like that? I can't remember.
Yeah.
That was really good. The way that the zombies kind of ran, really fast. And yeah, you're right. We need we don't want to be just constantly just slaughtering everything. Sometimes it'd be nice if there's times where you do have to run away and barricade yourself inside a house. Or I think one of the problems that we have with VR content is they don't have that sort of AAA flow to the campaign where it's ebbing and flowing, and sometimes you're frantically having to fight you for your life, and sometimes you've got to sneak around and be stealthy. So I hope that we get something like that, and something that'll set it apart from all the wave shooters and just constantly just killing zombie after zombie. So.
Well, I have faith in it just based on it being from Survios. That said, there aren't going to be any runners in this because the zombies don't run on The Walking Dead. But you will be faced with herds, I'm quite sure, and probably at times that you don't expect it. You're going to think you're safe and relaxed, and you're going to turn around, and all of a sudden you're surrounded, and you have to escape. I would imagine. Now, go ahead.
Oh, even on The Walking Dead, they don't have runners, but it does when they get a herd, like you said. They do seem to pick up urgency and like feed off of each other energy-wise, to where they're moving quicker and have more of a like, we need to get this thing, versus like one. Seems like when they're by themselves, they just are very methodical and slow, So.
Okay, well, even if Survios, for the first time ever, totally fumbles the ball here and brings us a subpar Walking Dead game, I'd like to remind everybody that Skydance Interactive for 2 years now has been working on The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, which is a game that's commissioned by Robert Kirkman's Skybound Entertainment. Not like this game is commissioned by AMC, the television Walking Dead. Skydance Entertainment Interactive has been for years now working on a Walking Dead game that takes place in the larger Walking Dead universe. So even if the Survios game isn't that great, the Skydance game is going to be more character driven. It's called Saints and Sinners, so I assume that the choices you make are going to affect your character, something similar to the Telltale games that are already out on PC and consoles everywhere. So hopefully if the Survios game doesn't give us what we want, the Skydance version will. So.
Didn't Skydance also put Payday out? They did. I thought they did.
They did Archangel.
Archangel. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we know that they know what they're doing with VR based on Archangel.
Do we know if that game still exists? Because obviously, for all we know, maybe they decided to give the license to Survios. But I don't know. I mean,
100% that game is still coming. I talked to these people a little bit on Twitter as recently as a month ago. The game, according to them, is very close to being finished. So,
that's going to be
definitely still on the way. Yeah,
two Walking Dead games in the same year. So
wow.
Yeah, one of them, like I said, more television Walking Dead. The other one's going to be more comic book Walking Dead. So.
Wes, they probably won't do it, but it'd be cool if they added Whisperers in this Walking Dead game.
Man, how awesome would that be? I doubt we'll see it in the Survios game because they said it was during the Rick Grimes era, and Rick's gone now. But yeah, totally awesome.
That would make you jump like crazy. You're like, oh, it's just another slow zombie.
What are the Whisperers? I don't know what they are.
Should we spoil it?
Yeah, it's not going to bother me.
All right, Whisperers are, humans, living humans dressed up as zombies.
Okay.
They're literally wearing the zombie skins. They make costumes out of the dead people's skins, and they travel in the herds of zombies. So you're fighting zombies, clearing out a herd, and you go to stab one of them, and all of a sudden it dodges and stabs you out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. And they're called the Whisperers because they communicate by whispering with each other among the zombies that they travel with.
Yeah, like, where did they go? Yeah.
That's brutal.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah, that would be pretty freaking awesome if that was included. Yeah.
Yeah, this last season of The Walking Dead was awesome. Even if you got out of it for the Negan stuff, the Whisperer stuff is just brutal. You should definitely check it out. Yeah, I'm a diehard Walking Dead fan. I've watched every minute of every episode many times over. I can hardly contain myself with the excitement I have for this game coming from Survios. It's
And you're
just,
going to be. Oh, go ahead.
From what you described with the 4 characters and everything, it does sound like it's going to be a Walking Dead style game as well with the scavenger mode. So I'd love for us 4 to get together and do that. That would be
cool.
That's going to be awesome.
my question is, obviously this game's going to come to PlayStation VR. Are they going to be able to carry 4-player co-op on PlayStation VR? They did it in Sprint Vector. I mean, you can do it in that game. So
Yeah, but there's no graphics in Sprint Vector, though. They're not very much, right?
Right. So yeah, it's.
Well, they haven't confirmed it for the PSVR yet, but obviously we're just assuming that it's coming to the PSVR.
Well,
so.
we assume it because every other Survios game has come to PSVR, so I assume this will be no different. But again, yeah, you're right. That's speculation and assumption. We don't know it yet, so we will see. I would be shocked if AMC would be bringing their game to VR, but not bringing it to what is by far the largest VR platform. They'd be cutting themselves out of a lot of money not bringing this to PSVR. But they have not announced it yet, so we don't know. Anything else on my favorite game ever, The Walking Dead by Survios?
No.
Favorite game?
Yeah, we've just spent all that time talking about a game we know virtually nothing about. So wait till we actually get the game.
I know enough. The Walking Dead, Survios. I'm there.
Right there.
Take my $50 and
we just keep getting more and more announcements for this year.
Well,
it just
do you think
into...
Do you think it'll be 50?
No, I'm just saying I'd give it though. Freely.
Don't say that.
I'd freely pay it. Yeah, we keep getting more announcements. Just last week on the last episode, we announced a new game from Survios. Here we are again this week announcing a new game from Survios. It's a great time to be a VR gamer.
Next week, what we got? Another game.
Yeah, we got Blood and Truth and all this stuff coming next week. Trover.
Yeah.
Five Nights at Freddy's. That's next week. Next week's going to be a big PSVR week. This week is all about Oculus.
Nothing for Alex next week.
We've got Journey of the Gods and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That's very true.
True.
Vader Immortal, Journey of the Gods, Shadow Point,
Dead and Buried 2. Yeah, there's stuff coming. Dance Central, obviously, that's my number one.
Yeah, that's what you've been waiting for, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of PSVR, recently Space Junkies launched across all platforms, but the PSVR community kind of felt like they were at a disadvantage because they had no hand presence in the game. Move controllers weren't supported. So this was rectified this week. The developer, Ubisoft, patched the game, and they patched in PSVR move support. So now you can use your shield with your left hand, fire off with your right hand, just like everyone else in Space Junkies. Roots, were you surprised when that wasn't available at launch?
Yeah, when I read that was coming, I thought, I would have thought that was there already. I can't even imagine. I'd love this game on the PC, and I can't imagine trying to play it with a controller. I mean, maybe the aim, if they somehow could manage that, but without a shield, like, I don't know how you play this game. So yeah, it shocks the hell out of me. It just doesn't make sense that wasn't in there.
Yeah, you could still use your shield and stuff, but it's just not, it just pops up instead of you being able to actually, hide behind it. Same question, Justin. Were you surprised when they didn't support Move at launch with this game?
Yeah, I never played it on PSVR, so I never really thought about it. Yeah, I just assumed it would have been Move. I have it on PC, but I've kind of barely played it because I got my ass kicked. I just kind of haven't gone back to it.
Yeah. I played I don't own it, but I played a lot in the closed beta for it. It's a great game. I should have probably picked it up last week when it was on sale, but so much stuff coming, I kind of held off because I'm getting ready to shell out big bucks, very soon on these games that are coming out in the next few weeks. Yeah, but that's basically all I had on that game. I wanted to mention to any of our viewers that might be PlayStation VR only, if you've been avoiding this game because there's no hand presence, no move support, no longer. You can get in it now, use your moves, and you will not be at a competitive disadvantage, at least in that regard, compared to PC players. Anybody else have anything they want to say on Space Junkies?
Yeah, I was just thinking. So I'm assuming. I mean, I haven't looked into it, but why they could use the aim controller for this if somebody was inclined to use a button for their shield, right? I mean, I would rather play that. I think that would be really cool to play that way. But I just a thought.
Yeah. If you can use a tracked gamepad, yeah, aim controller absolutely makes sense. But in comparison to move controllers, I don't think either really holds up. But that being said, I haven't tried it. Maybe it's one of these cases like I know there was a guy, Livinator, on Firewall, was an absolute murderer with the DualShock 4. He didn't even play it with the aim controller. So maybe it's one of those cases where you actually are put at an advantage with using the regular controller, but I wouldn't think so. I'm glad to see this game finally getting the update that it should have had all along.
How do you dual wield with a controller?
Well, I'm sure it's with your like Doom. It'll be with your fake arms that come out. Totally immersion breaking, but I'm sure it's very playable. But I don't know. I haven't tried it, and if I do buy this game, it'll probably be on PC. It probably won't be on PlayStation. So I may never know. Now you guys know me. You know I'm a horror buff, right? For a long time now, the PlayStation community, and in particular Polish Paul, have been teasing this game, Follia, Dear Father. And we got a new trailer for it this week. Apparently, a lot of people have written this game off because it's been in development so long. But apparently, it's coming, and it's coming soon. It's a mystery / survival horror game that's been announced for all major platforms. It's a flat game with a VR mode, so it's not strictly a VR game. It's a flat game as well, so it's going to be coming to Xbox, everything. This game's coming everywhere. I'm sure that you've all seen this trailer. It's very Resident Evil 7 looking. It has that same vibe to it, that same creepiness, that same shock factor in the gore. Alex, what did you think about this trailer?
Well, I messaged on Discord because I saw it on PSVR without Pro when they did it on the Gamecast, and I was like, "Wow, this thing's it looks so brutal. Like just some of the shit that goes on. Like there's a rat that crawls inside someone's mouth, and it looks like it's going to be really gross you out. So this is a game that I need to obviously build up to, but it's not. I think it's coming out. It says fall, so I'm guessing later on, August, maybe after August, September time. But yeah, it says on the it says HTC Vive support on Steam, but I presume it's going to end up working on Rift and everything else as well. But it doesn't actually say VR PC support. It says specifically the Vive, and obviously PSVR as well. But yeah, this looks like it's going to give Resident Evil 7 a run for its money, just in grossness and just the feel, like you say, the feel of the game looks like it's going to be similar to Resident Evil 7.
Oh yes, it looks so awesome. I can't wait. Are you going to play it?
I'm going to try. I'm trying to get into horror. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to. I need to build up my tolerance to it, really. But this is. I'm fascinated by this stuff because looking at it on a flat screen looks so cool. I know it's not cool to see this sort of shit, but I think it's like a morbid curiosity that we have as human beings. But when you're actually in VR, it feels 10 times more terrifying. So yeah, I'll definitely want to try it, but whether I'll manage to actually get through it and play through it, I don't know.
Yeah, I disagree. I think it looks very cool, and I love it. Justin, what do you think about this game, man?
I'll wait for the reviews and the price. They would have to say it's awesome or somewhere, as awesome as Resident Evil 7 for me to like buy it at some price like $50. So I'm reserving judgment.
I imagine this is probably going to cost uh, just like a flat game costs. It's going to be at least 40, most likely 50.
Hmm.
And judging by the footage that we've seen of it, this does not look like it's going to have tracked hands in it. This is going to be a gamepad game
Hmm.
only with tracked head movement in it. Roots, does that discourage you at all from wanting to play this game?
Not necessarily. I'm like Justin though. Like, it looks cool, and I mean, it had a lot of good audio to some extent. But what made Resident Evil 7 so cool is like the storyline and the audio and like just everything about it. And you're hiding, and you hear Jack, and he's calling for a piggy, and he's looking to eat you, and like there's some fucked up shit in that game that the factor is real. Now that this trailer looks creepy as hell. I can see why Alex is like, almost, I would imagine, to be like, I don't know, man. Like, it's gonna be a while before I get to this sucker, because he's just now starting to want to get into horror, and this looks like horrifying. I don't know that I would pay $50 for it, especially if it's gamepad. But if it was like, if I could guarantee, like if I saw gameplay and the reviews were raving and they said, man, this is the next Resident Evil 7, absolutely I'd pay $50. But there's a lot of ifs in there, and I don't know too much about this developer. But I mean, that creepy thing crawling on the ground looks pretty fucked up. So
Yeah, I agree. I'd probably want to hear a review, but I'm very bullish on this game. It's got a lot of aspects to it that I particularly like. First of all, it's a mystery game. The story is you, the character, are going to this university because your parents are missing, and they were last at this university. And when you get there, something nefarious has taken place, and you're investigating this gigantic university, finding clues, trying to find what happened to your parents. Obviously, some bad shit went down, and I'm not going to just dismiss it out of hand because it's a gamepad game, or even if it has a $50 price tag, because Resident Evil 7 is my favorite game I've ever played, and these very same things were true of that game. So I will wait to see how long the campaign is, see if there's any glaring bugs with it. But if everything is legit and good with this game, I have no problem dropping the 50 for it. Just because, again, this is my type of game. Anything else on Follia, Dear Father? Oh, all right. Well, we will move on then to the announcement this week from Shell Games, the developer that brought us I Expect You to Die, have announced a new game called Until You Fall. This is a melee combat game. We don't know a whole lot about it yet, but it's clearly a melee combat game with a lot of new style graphics that we're seeing on a lot of new releases these days. Alex, are you optimistic that Shell Games has figured out and cracked the code with melee combat?
I mean, I know they've made, obviously, I Expect You to Die, which is a completely different game to this. I don't know, I was looking at the footage. It looks very arcade, like the arcadey. They've obviously got a lot of HUD going on, things that indicate where you need to strike and, dodge and shields, and so it's going to be different. I mean, I'm not dismissive of it just because it's got this HUD and things, because obviously gameplay is more important than immersion sometimes, and if it adds to the gameplay and it feels good, if it looks almost like, I'm trying to think of a game, bit quick timey for me, I think, with the way that you've got a certain amount of time to do a certain movement, which I'm not that keen on. So it's one of those where I'm interested because of the dev. I could probably give it more attention than if it was just a random developer I've never heard of before.
Right. Justin, what do you think about this?
Yeah, if this weren't from Shell Games, I wouldn't be that interested. But because it is, I'm more interested, and it's probably something I'll get because I like melee, medieval fantasy stuff. It looks like a Quest game to me. Like it could easily go to Quest.
Yeah, I think that this art style is indicative that we probably will see this on Quest, which could be a big plus with it being a melee game. Having that extra freedom of movement may be pretty cool in a game like this. Ruts, what do you think about it? Roots, what do you think about it?
Your inner Anthony got in you. No, I think it looks good. I agree with I Expect You to Die is done so well. What I liked, at least what it seemed in the trailer, because you can't really tell so much without the audio, but there was a lot of blocking and with the enemy, it seemed a lot more interactive as far as you're blocking, you're hitting, you're blocking this, and it seemed like there was actual connections. You could hear the swords clanking each time that he was blocking and hitting and stuff. So kind of reminded me a lot of one of the games that someone's going to be talking about this week. But yeah, I'm kind of psyched to check it out. I'm always looking for that melee game because I don't believe anybody's got it completely down pat, you know what I mean? And I'm excited to see that first time when you see that blade and sorcery be mixed with an amazing story type of thing, So
yeah, I agree. There are some decent melee combat games out there. Primordian comes to mind, but again, nobody's got it perfect yet. So I'm going to take a cautiously optimistic when it comes to this. I'll probably wait, like we said with the last game. I'll probably wait for some reviews to see how this thing plays and how much content there's going to be. Honestly,
how much?
If it's going to be this the complete way through as well, just constantly hack and slash, then will it get old after a while? Just constantly, just enemy after enemy after enemy. So,
right? Can I make my way through it doing this? If I can hold my sword out and do this and beat the whole game, then
I think that's why they've probably done the way they're doing it, is to try and stop that. You've got to strike from a certain direction at a certain time to stop people from just waving their arms like a crazy person. So it may require more skill, and that might end up making it more satisfying than just having a more traditional style where you can go from anywhere and any sort of angle, because then you can usually spam it if you want to. I mean, I tend to avoid spamming it, but I have seen people who just wiggle their wrists in there, and then and the problem is some developers try and stop that by you having to put a certain amount of force on the strike, but then people still complain because they feel that they should be able to do the whole wrist waggle thing. So melee combat's such a difficult thing in VR because you haven't got that weight, you haven't got that feedback, there's no resistance. So I think it'll be a while before we'd really see, and I don't think there'll be one particular way to do it as well. I think there will be different styles and different ways which will work. Like this is one particular style and way of doing it, so it'll be interesting to see how it feels.
Yeah, I think could be a useful tactic to require a counter strike. You have to display some defense before you can, score with offense. That is a good way to stop people from just wrist wagging to their way through a game. Anybody else with any more thoughts on Until You Fall?
No.
Nope. All right. Well, we will move right along then to everybody's favorite game, Beat Saber. Yes, that's right. Beat Saber is leaving early access this Tuesday when Oculus Quest releases. Beat Saber is officially in full release. They've added a level editor into it, which is interesting. You can now use your own audio tracks and design your own beat maps to go with them. And with these new features comes the dreaded price increase. Beat Saber going from $20 to $30 on Tuesday. If you're watching this on Monday and you don't have Beat Saber yet, buy it today. It's going to cost $10 more tomorrow. Alex, is this game worth $30?
Yeah. Well, depends on what platform and whether you can have custom songs. Because if it was, I don't know. It's a great game, but I don't really play the original songs. I play them maybe a few times, but if it wasn't for the custom songs and the custom tracks on the PC, I would have stopped playing it a long, long time ago, and I wouldn't have been so into this game. So for me, the songs are very. I've demoed this game for some family, and when I put them in some of the original tracks, they weren't that bothered. But as soon as they went through the custom tracks and they found a track that they really liked with a beat map that was good, their opinion on it changed. From this is okay to oh my god, this is amazing. So the songs are so important, and obviously if you're not into the music of the original songs, it's just like Audica. The Audica's a good game, but I'm not really digging the songs. So if you don't dig the music, and it's on the Quest or it's on the PSVR, I don't know whether I can recommend it. But obviously, if it's on the PC, that's not a problem because you've got that many custom tracks that you can download. Then even, there's plenty of good ones on there. I've found that it's worth it for me at $30.
Yeah, I've never played this game, despite everyone raving about it. And largely that's...
I know,
Yeah.
I can't
Oh,
even...
we had this conversation.
Let's
I thought we had
stop
this
at that.
conversation.
Holy shit!
You've got to try it. Yeah, you've got to try
Yeah,
it.
I will. I'm sure I will. But largely, it goes back to what you were just talking about. I don't really dig the music all that much, man. They need to give me Slayer, okay? Give me some Slayer. Give me some Clutch.
Well, I'll say
Nine
is-
Inch Nails.
Some Black Sabbath.
Now you can give
Yeah.
yourself it with the tracks. I mean, if with that
I
track.
don't want to design a beat map so I can play it myself.
I can upload. I've got over
It's
nearly 600 tracks.
2019, right? I'm too lazy to do that.
Yeah.
I am too.
So do you think that these mods are going to work after Tuesday, after the update?
That's what I want to know.
Well, I'm not updating my. I'm still on an old Beat Saber because I've just not updated it. I've stopped updates on it, and because every time they bring a new version out, obviously it stops the mods. Although now, obviously, they actually put in, kind of mod support in it already. So maybe this will be the last time that happens. But it's a different game on the PC than it is on the PSVR and the Quest because of the fact that you've just stuck with the tracks that they give you. It's difficult for me to imagine this game without the custom tracks. I mean, I checked my time. I think I'm like 70 something hours into this game now. I play it, 2-3 times a week for like 20 minutes, and I never get bored of it because I've got 600 different songs now. So yeah, I mean, I can upload my songs somewhere, and you guys can just dump it into your song list, and then you'll have all those tracks. So if you've got mods working. Some of them obviously aren't very good, but there's a lot of decent ones that I enjoy. So yeah, there's pretty much something for everything, from Michael Jackson to, Avenged Sevenfold. What's it called? There's I've got all sorts of genres of music. So
What rock do you
Sweet.
have? Rock and metal.
I'd have to look through. Yeah, was it Avenged Sevenfold?
You said Avenged Sevenfold.
Yeah.
Are they? Is that rock? Is that classed as rock to you guys?
Yeah, it's kind of like emo metal.
Yeah. There's a
Their
few.
early albums were good. I really didn't
Skillet.
care
Are
for
they
the
classed
later
as rock?
stuff.
Who?
Not Skillet, is it?
No, I don't think so. You're talking about Skrillex or something?
No.
Oh.
Someone Skillet. There's a
Oh.
Skillet.
Skillet's rock.
Oh,
Yeah, there's some Skillet on there which are quite good.
I don't know what that is.
Corn.
Corn.
Corn,
There you go. That's-
There's a Corn track.
Okay.
With,
Yeah,
I think
Korn
it's a-
would probably be good for Beat
I think
Saber.
it's a
Right.
Skrillex one, like a Skrillex and Corn mix or something. There's loads. There's Michael Jackson and just some 80s stuff, some 90s stuff. There's Gang Style, and there's
do you have to cross like the sabers over
the
like this?
thing is with the Gangnam Style is it's actually it does the dance. So if you actually follow the dance, you will actually go through the level. So that is You have to,
That's hilarious.
you're doing all this, and yeah, it's really, it's actually one of the better tracks. There's some novelty stuff in there. There's like Barbie Girl. I can't remember that song. There's some proper cheesy shit in there. But yeah, I'll have to upload my full folder onto somewhere, and then you guys can just dump. Literally, all you got to do is just copy that folder into your songs folder, and you've got all the songs. So.
I installed the mod and I did Mortal Kombat and some 80 songs.
Yeah, I've got loads. I mean, I keep deleting some because some of them there's loads and loads of anime shit. So that's this. I don't like the stuff where you just like Expert Plus, where you just like having to frantically do this. I like stuff that flows quite well. So I'd say there's got to be, out of the 500-600 I've got, there's got to be some that you like. So I'll have to look at uploading it somewhere, and you can. Cause it's not a big file neither. The songs aren't big.
The mod I installed, you can choose which songs you want to download. And, like, there's an interface and everything.
The problem
inside
that,
the game, right?
Yeah, the problem is that if you search, what I did is basically if you search for a song that you like, chances are it's going to be a shit beat map. So what I did was I'd go on there's a website called Beat Saber or something, I can't remember what it's called, but it's basically curated songs that people have reviewed. I downloaded some of the ones that are good, and then I just looked at the beat mappers, and I've downloaded all their other songs.
Good idea.
I've ended up with loads of stuff that even if I've not heard of it, because to me the beat map's more important than the song sometimes. So if you like I say, you can download some of the stuff. Like I've downloaded all sorts of stuff that I thought, oh, that'd be good in there, and then the beat map's just completely off beat, and it just doesn't flow and don't feel good. So it's one of those things where I've had a lot of people say that they don't touch the beat maps because they're not very good, and if the chances are you probably will find a bad one if you just search for a particular song. But I've just ended up building up this big catalogue of songs where I'd say a good 80% are actually decent and worth doing. So.
All right, so you heard it here first, PCVR community. If you want this game in its current beautiful state, buy it today, put it in offline mode today, because who knows what's going to happen to this thing tomorrow. But right now it's wide open like the Wild West, and you can still download these songs after tomorrow, but we don't know that the version of the game that comes tomorrow is going to support it. So get it now while you still can.
You get it, and then stop then auto updates, and then once it gets updated, you can just check the community. I think it's Beat Saber, I think is the website you go
Saber,
on. Yeah, and they'll tell you what the state of mods and stuff. So.
It will. The mods will be updated. It might take a bit, but they're very Beat Games is very aware that the mod is why their game blew up was the community, and if they completely nixed it, it would be huge fucking backlash.
I mean, they actually
they
employed some of the guys who made some of these custom beat maps.
Exactly. Now let me ask you this: do you think that for the PlayStation or the Quest versions, and you can make your own maps, do you think, or at least for the PlayStation, I don't know how they do it with the Quest, but do you think they'll have a community place where people can upload their maps and eventually build a catalog just like you're talking about on the PC version?
It's not getting. That's the problem. The Quest and the PlayStation VR aren't getting the level editor.
It's just for the PC version only? Oh, that's garbage.
Yeah.
So, I would have to agree. That completely changes everything as far as I would agree with you, Alex. I don't see... I mean, it's a good game, but and they keep adding new songs, but they really need to figure a way to do that. That's the biggest reason why it's so good, is there's so much.
Yeah. Justin, there's no cross-buy coming for this game, but they have said that maybe the DLC, the song packs, they're going to do cross-buy for that. With the demo version already being installed on the Quest, you're already going to get a song or two on there to use as a demo. Is this worth buying again for Quest at $30?
Not for me.
No.
I'd wait for a sale. This would be great to demo people, but...
And you can do it. You got 2 free songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's already a demo version on there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I agree. I don't see myself buying this. I didn't buy it the first time. I don't see myself paying
I'm
$30 for it now. Now it is cool that you're going to be able to do it wirelessly. I agree. That's awesome. But this game is just fine tethered, facing forward. So Roots, they have promised us more songs are coming from quote big name artists from all genres.
Hmm.
And this is obviously a great move, and it's been a long time coming. Given the extensive catalog that Sony has available to them, do you think that we're going to get DLC that's exclusive to PSVR?
Well, I could see. I mean, I don't know why not. You've got the PC version that's exclusive for the track making, so it would make sense that maybe they give something to offset that on the PlayStation, give incentive to get it. And like you said, they've already got the content. And this would another reason why it would speak to me as far as why it's not. I mean, the $30 is definitely worth the cost, especially if they're now going to be getting big name artists. I mean, that's not free, so they have to up that price to $30. I don't see how they keep it at $20, and
Well,
still do everything.
You have to pay for the other tracks though. So
Oh yeah, you'll be paying for those big name artists when they come.
You're still
For
going to
sure.
be paying for them, right? But what I'm saying is just overall, it just justifies the cost of the game being $30. And again, it's half price of every mainstream game we're used to paying for. I mean, $20 is damn cheap for any game, especially a game as good as this.
it's a
Yeah,
great game,
yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, I think it's a no-brainer for Sony to do exclusive tracks for this game. I'm kind of surprised, honestly, Sony being the monster that it is, that they haven't just bought these guys off completely at this point and released an exclusive sequel to this, because that's what makes the most sense. They've got the track catalog, endless music for these guys to make, beat maps around. I'm surprised they haven't just released their own PSVR exclusive title, or maybe they will, on PSVR 2, PlayStation 5. Kind of seems to make sense. So interesting to see what's going to happen with this game, especially on PSVR going forward. Anybody else want to say anything else about Beat Saber? Oh, okay. Moving on to our final item of the day. We finally got prices for the titles that are going to launch with Oculus Quest. And here they are on the screen in front of you. You can see a lot of the ports on there are retaining their previous pricing from other platforms. The notable new titles, Sports Scramble, Journey of the Gods, and Dance Central are all going to be $30. Face Your Fears 2, Shadow Point, Dead and Buried 2, all $20. And Vader Immortal Episode 1, of course, $10. Like I said, the ports are pretty much keeping their original pricing from earlier platforms. And this is understandable, in my opinion, especially for cross-buy games. I imagine if a game's going to be cross-buy and available on PC, it makes sense for it to carry full price. Roots, do you think that games that are not cross-buy, ports, PC ports, that are brought to Quest, do you think it's right that they be charged the same price as the PC version? Or do you think it should be a discounted version like the Nintendo did with the 3DS games? A Wii or Wii U game would be $60. A 3DS game would be $40. What do you think's fair with pricing of these games?
I think exactly what they're doing is fair, for the same reasons that I was saying earlier. It's not free to port a game over. And what are you missing? I mean, we're talking about fidelity, resolution. The game is exactly the same game. So it's to be otherwise would expect to get a better game with a little bit less resolution for a cheaper price. That sounds good for me as a consumer. It doesn't sound good for anybody else but me as a consumer. it just it doesn't make sense to me from a business standpoint. So,
Alex, what do you think about it?
What the price? Well, I think the price is fair, or
Yeah, do you think that Quest games should be automatically discounted because they're on a mobile platform?
no, you're playing the full game. So if you're playing the full game, then you should pay full price for it. I don't understand this mentality where people are saying that because it's on a mobile processor, that it's now a mobile game and it's got to be cheaper. It's not. It's still the full game. Like Superhot's the full game. So why should they charge less for a full game just because it's on? I don't understand that why people are saying that. Why are they expecting it to be a lot cheaper on the Quest? I don't really understand that logic.
I think that a precedent has been set by earlier flat mobile devices pricing their games at a lesser price. I think that's probably where this thinking has originated. Main fan, what do you think about it?
Some of these prices surprised me, like Sports Scramble at $30. I thought that would be a free game, maybe like a packing game.
That's expensive. Yeah.
I don't know. I thought maybe they might be a little bit cheaper, but this whole cross-buy thing screws that up because they have it so that, if you buy the Quest one, you get the Rift one. Well, they wouldn't want to have people buying a cheaper Quest one and then getting the more expensive Rift one. They could have made it so that if you buy the Rift one, you get the Quest one for free, but not vice versa. Could have done that.
Or you pay a little bit difference up charge or something if you bought it the other way.
Yeah, this is what I don't understand with this cross-buy. The way they have it structured currently, it's all or nothing. Either you're paying full price for both or you're not buying it at all. Why can't there be any middle ground here? Why can't somebody who already owns a title on Rift, say Moss, so Moss is not, or Beat Saber, either one of these games are not supporting cross-buy because they want to be compensated for the work that they put into the Quest version. And I get that. That's understandable. Why can't there be a discount? Why does it have to be free? Like, I already own it on Rift. Why do I have to pay full price again? Why can't I pay $20 instead of $30? I think that they're missing an opportunity here, and I think it's a mistake for them to go all or nothing with the cross-buy feature. That's just my opinion.
That's a good point.
It is. Actually, it makes a lot of sense because it's going to entice those people. There's people out there that will not pay the full price, but you tell me I can pay a half price, I might still not buy it, but at least I'm going to start considering it, and then I probably would buy it just because that's how I am.
Yeah, it only makes sense. I mean, sure, I get it. The developers want to be compensated. I agree that they should be, but we shouldn't have to pay full price again. They should be able to work something out with Oculus, somehow split the difference of the whatever the discount's going to be, and pass that savings on to the people like us who have already bought these titles once, twice, 3 times. Hopefully, we'll see. Hopefully, we'll see some changes to these cross-buy features in the future.
Most people got Robo Recall for free. Most people. So I wonder if that still means you get it for Quest free.
Yeah. See, when I saw this list, I had the same question because you'll notice that they tweaked the title of it. Now it's called Robo Recall Unplugged.
Yeah.
And I thought, is this going to be a way for them to skirt the cross-buy? So I went back to the Upload VR. Shout out to Upload VR, by the way. Mm-hmm. And I looked at the cross-buy list once again to verify Robo Recall is on that list. So I don't see how it could happen otherwise, title change or not. If Robo Recall supports cross-buy, then you're going to get Robo Recall Unplugged. So
the thing is, they're not giving it away now with the Rift S anyway. And obviously, people who already got it, I can't.
Oh,
are they
not?
We're
not giving away anything with the Rift S except for Medium and the other art program that you don't even get a game with it anymore.
No,
that's crappy, man.
Robo Recall isn't free anymore?
No,
none of it's free.
Wow.
Not even, you don't even get Lucky's Tale anymore.
That's interesting.
Do you not get Lucky's Tale? Is that not free anymore?
Unless I'm misinformed here, all you're getting is the 2 art programs, Medium and what was the other one called?
I thought Lucky's Tale was free
Quill.
anyway.
Quill.
Quill.
Quill, yeah, Quill.
Medium and Quill are the only ones that are coming with the S, unless I'm mistaken.
Okay.
I thought Lucky's Tale was free regardless of whether you bought the Touch or. I'll have to check now, but I'm sure Lucky's Tale's free anyway. But yeah, what I was going to say is that obviously if you've already got Robo Recall, you're probably not going to want to buy it again for the Quest anyway, so they know that. And then obviously people who are buying the Rift S now aren't going to get it, so either way you're going to have to buy it. So I suppose it makes no difference to them now.
To charge. Yeah.
Now to charge and have the cross buy.
It's not going to turn anybody away. Everybody,
Well,
like you said.
All the Oculus. It's worth noting that all the Oculus funded games are cross buy. So there's unless there's something I'm missing, but I'm pretty sure everything.
Oh yeah. Oculus, obviously, if they had their way, everything would be cross buy. Like I said before, they want parity between their devices. They don't want us to think there's any difference between the two. But at the same time, they need the developers to support the Quest, so they can't really tie their hands like that. So, yeah, I think if it was up to Oculus, all these titles would be cross-buy, and you're right, all of their titles are cross-buy. Anything else on these Quest games? I would like to point out, again, as we did last week or the week before, Vader Immortal at $10. That's awesome. I'm so there for that one. I can't wait. My Quest just shipped. Hopefully I get it tomorrow. It'll probably be Tuesday. I'm headed straight for Vader Immortal when I get it. Anything else on this Quest titles?
Out of the list as well, I think Ultra Wings is worth the money. I was looking at that for $14.99. I think that's a solid full. It's a really long. It's got a lot of content as well. So for $14.99, which if people don't know, it's like a flying simulator. Sort of not simulator. You can change the settings to simulator or arcade, but it's like what's the Pilot Wings, an old game, and it's really good. So at $14.99, that is a recommend. I'd say at that price.
Yeah. I'm interested to see how a lot of these games are going to translate over to the mobile version. That's really my biggest curiosity with a lot of these games that I've already played through. I just want to see what they're going to look like. I might not play through them again, but 20 minutes, 30 minutes in there just to see how it translates. Yeah, I'm down for sure. So developers out there, send me all of the keys. I want all of them. Quit ignoring my emails and just send me all the keys. Anyway, anything else on these Quest games? All right, well, that wraps the news of the week. Loads we didn't talk about. Just quickly mention Sirento's coming to Quest. They just announced that yesterday. Going to have new areas in it. Super cool. Perp Games putting out a couple of new games, physical versions of PSVR games. So definitely go Google all this stuff and look it up. But that wraps it for our news this week and brings about what we do every week, our weekly game review segment, where we go around, talk about some of the stuff we've been playing and what we think about it. I'm going to start here with a game that we all played this week. And really, I shouldn't call it a game because it isn't a game. It's Technolust, available exclusively on Oculus. This is an old title. It came out in 2016, was developed on the original Oculus development kit. And I had no idea this thing existed. I watched a video, Paradise Decay recently played through a beta version of the sequel to this game. And from there, I searched it, and it's looks like it's the cool cyberpunk universe that I've been waiting for. And it's been here all this time. I didn't know it. So I reached out to the developer. Shout out to Blair Reynaud and Iris Virtual Reality for hooking us all up with access to Technolust. And we all played through it this week, and I have really enjoyed it. Obviously, it's dated, being as old as it is. It wasn't developed for Oculus Touch, so the controls are very clunky. But then again, it doesn't claim to be a game. It claims to be an interactive visual novel experience through VR, and it is that. It takes place in a dystopian future. You are a hacker, a cyber anarchist, if you will, who is being contacted by this hacker group called Cathode Crush, and they're recruiting you into their group. Uh, Immediately upon being contacted by these people, they provide you with some technology that turns out to be illegal, and law enforcement begins to pursue you. So you have to leave your apartment there, and you make your way into the streets and make your way through the city. As you make your way through the city, mystery unfolds. This world is a very much a futuristic world where people have merged with technology. A person who's 100% biological, who hasn't had some kind of a cyborg android update to their body, is an oddity in this world. They call you a 100% meat body or something like that when you talk to the people that are in this world, and you're definitely a rarity if you haven't taken any upgrades. But along the way, you gain access and the ability to search through the memories of the androids that are all over this city, and you use those memories to piece together the story of a sinister plot. I'll leave it at that. I don't want to ruin the story for anybody who's going to play through this game. Experience, excuse me, not game. But yeah, I've really enjoyed it. The story, I think, is really good. I can forgive some of the dated graphics and controls of the experience, just because we haven't seen anything like this in VR yet, or I haven't. This futuristic, dystopian. You kind of want to call it post-apocalyptic, because later in the game you get out into a wasteland that makes you kind of feel like maybe a nuclear apocalypse has taken place. But you can also call it pre-apocalyptic, in the idea that everyone has merged with technology, and once people merge with technology, technology is easily controlled by the powers that be, and therefore the people will be easily controlled by the powers that be. So I think this game has a lot of undertones that are relevant in today's world as technology advances, and we're going to be facing these questions in a few years, whether or not we should jack in, if you will, to the technology and give up our privacy and our control over our personal lives. But anyway, I'm kind of getting all over the place with this thing. I just want to say that I really enjoyed it. I'm glad that Mr. Renaud has given us access to it, and I do recommend it. I think $20, the price tag on it, is a little bit steep for it. You might want to wait for it to go on sale, or wait for his Kickstarter. He's about to do a Kickstarter for the sequel, and he did mention to me that there's going to be a tier in the Kickstarter that you could possibly get a copy of Technolust with it. So maybe wait for that, so you get something more for your money than just Technolust. But yeah, I do recommend it. It's very interesting, very cool world, and I'm glad that I tried it. And I know all you guys tried it, and I'm interested to hear your thoughts on it. We'll start with Alex. Alex, what did you think about Technolust?
This is I'm very mixed on. I started off, I didn't really know about what you said about it being more of an interactive novel than a game, so I was probably going into it thinking it was a game. And obviously it is an old, it's like what, 2016 early sort of tech demo almost, and it does feel like that. I mean, it feels like it was made before. Obviously it doesn't feel like a modern VR experience or game. The world looks really cool. Some parts of the graphics are really nice, some of it's not so good. You start off like in this like simulation, and then it tries to give you a little bit of control sort of tell you what the controls are, but it's not very good. You kind of have to figure things out for yourself and how to actually interact and do things. You end up in this apartment, and I found that you can walk through like furniture and stuff. So that's, it's not got any sort of, when you can put your hand through everything. You can pick things up, but then there's a point where you have to collect certain items, and I kept picking things up, and then I was walking over to this workbench, and I was trying to put it inside this printer, and I was picking, I was throwing it, and then every time I do it, it'd disappear, and I couldn't work out what I was supposed to be doing, and I must have spent 20 minutes getting pretty frustrated. I nearly quit, to be honest with you, because I just couldn't figure out what I was supposed to be doing. There's stuff all over the place. I'm picking it up, and some stuff's just disappearing off and going back to where it should be. And then eventually, because you've got like a list of things that you need to collect, and eventually, for some reason, by random, one of the things disappeared. So I'm like thinking, well, how the hell has that happened? And then anyway, eventually I figured out that the way you have to do it is by just putting your hand near the item and then just clicking the trigger. And if you do that, the thing disappears, and then that's classed as you collecting it. So like I say, it definitely feels like a gamepad game that's had the touch added on as an afterthought. And I'll tell you that now, because that'll hopefully save you some frustration if you do go into this game, because it was pretty annoying. The other thing as well is it does feel very staged, like it's like a set and a film set rather than being a real world. Everything kind of looks the part, but then there's, everything feels like it's just like a prop, and it's just been, it's all just like the people are just kind of just stood. They'll say the odd line, but you can't interact with them or do anything. When you go from one place to another, you just walk up to a door, and you don't even have to press anything on the handle or anything. You can just press anywhere on the door, pull the trigger, and then it'll load up, and then the next minute you stood outside, and then you want to go inside, you walk up to the door, you press the trigger, and then you're inside. And that's obviously quite immersion breaking. Nowadays you want to be able to just open the handle, walk through a door, walk through the actual environment. But once I got past that frustration, and I understood what it was, and understood how to interact with things, I just appreciated it for what it was, really. And I think most of this game's been made by one guy, the guy who, I can't remember his name that you said. So Blair, yeah. So when you look at it at that point of view, it's really impressive that the music's really cool. It's got like a Blade Runner feel to it, like a futuristic Blade Runner environment with neon lights everywhere and loads of lens flare, and it's very stylized, and sometimes it does feel like it's style over substance, but I guess that is just because of the era that this experience was made. The story is kind of cool. I thought it was a little bit predictable for me. I kind of saw what was happening with it, but it kept me going through the game experience, whatever you want to call it. There's some weird things I feel like they've tacked on, like there's a hacking, you have to hack sometimes, and you've got like this little third person woman that you can move with your joystick, and you can aim with your head and shoot. There's a couple of levels like that, but they don't really go anywhere. It doesn't really feel like it's been developed much. There's a few arcade games, which again they just feel like little they feel like little college projects that have been thrown in there, and they don't feel like a fully fleshed out game. Which it's fine for a little novelty, but it's nothing. There's no depth to anything really. It's not something you're going to spend hours just playing on that one game. I was kind of mixed throughout the game. I think this story, whatever you want to call it just had potential, but I just felt like it wasn't quite realized. But then again, when you look back at when it was created and how it was created, again, I keep having to come back to that, because that's you judge it by modern standards, and then you're going to be disappointed probably. And there is a tech demo which I think we'll talk about more next week, which I did try, which unfortunately feels the same. So I'm going to say some things about that next week when we've all tried it. But yeah, I like the world. I think it's cool. The music's really good. I don't know who you've got to do with the music, but there's some really cool tunes. And the way that obviously they're coming out of speakers, and you can put tapes in and start the music up, and this, yeah, it's interesting. I'm 50-50 on it. I enjoyed it, and it's not bad, but at the same time, it's not amazing. I didn't feel like I was actually there in the space. I felt like I was on a set and everything felt more style over substance, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I definitely had the same issue you had with the controls. It's like the controls are so basic that you didn't think to just trigger it. You know what I mean? Because that's how you interact with everything in this game. Is you just trigger it. You want to pick something up, just trigger it. You want to go through a door, trigger it. And it's so basic. We were trying to do everything like a modern VR game, picking it up, trying to put it in things and interact with objects, when really all we had to do all along was just trigger it. As far as the story and the world goes, I likened it. There's heavy Matrix influence on it, and some Total Recall in there too toward the end.
Yeah,
yeah. I really enjoyed that. Something else I really liked about it are the Easter eggs in the games. I don't know if you guys noticed it, but there was a Legend of Zelda Easter egg in it. There was some Back to the Future Easter eggs in there, and then a Total Recall Easter egg, like I just mentioned.
There's
all
audio,
really cool stuff.
Audio from it, yeah.
There's some really, it's one of those things when if you spent a lot of time, I know Wes, you're one of those that likes to go through every little detail, and I think maybe I kind of just went, here, rather than staying around and picking everything and examining everything. So I've probably missed a lot of the details. One thing I will say as well is that there's kind of an ending where the credits roll, but that isn't the end of the game. You can actually go. I went back to the downtown area, and then you have a gun, and you can walk around with this gun, and you can. I don't want to say anything about spoiling the story, but then you can use the gun to do something, and then if you do that enough times, you then trigger off another cinematic, and then you can restart the game from the beginning. But then things are slightly different as you go through the game again. So there is more to it. There is replayability, but I mean, I wasn't invested enough in it to want to replay it again just to see the small differences. But there's a lot of detail that they've put into a lot of areas. But again, it just didn't. I think maybe it's the NPCs, like the people, that kind of ruin it a little bit in terms of the immersion, because they are kind of just props. They just stood there. They'll say a line, but then there's nothing really more to it. So
yeah, they're all like zombies, like engulfed in their technology so much that you can't interact with them hardly. Yeah, I noticed that myself, and I do want to say, for any people who aren't worried about spoiling the story, my playthrough is going up in episodes on my personal channel, linked in the description. So if you're interested in watching this game be played by me, go there and check it out. Roots, what did you think about Technolust?
I thought, the first thing you get into, you're in that hacking thing, and I didn't know what the fuck was going on. Like, I literally played for like 15 minutes and shut it off, and was like, I don't even know what's going on. And then we talked about it in the Discord, and then I went back into it and I didn't even know it was really hacking. I was like, what is going on? It's really bizarre. I feel that like this game it needs to explain some things a little, or I guess experience needs to explain some things, or could benefit from some explanations for sure. I think the art style is really cool. It definitely is different than everything else. I made it as far as the arcade and checked out some of those arcade games. I thought it was really some of those were pretty cool as well. But overall, and this could be just because it's older, it's just more of a concept, and I guess kind of being fleshed into this new thing that Alex was talking about, that we'll be talking about next week. It didn't grab me. Like, I got to that arcade area, I tried a couple of the arcades, and then I just didn't care anymore, enough to the point where I didn't want to go back in. And it was just a personal thing. Like I said, it looks amazing. Especially for $20, there's no way I'd pay $20 for this experience. $10 would be way more in line, especially if you like the art style. But I didn't come. I probably came away with the most negative, at least from what we were talking about in Discord, the most negative view on this game. And maybe it just didn't resonate with me or something. But I felt like if I would have gone in any further than I did, I would have just been wasting my own personal free time. And at that point, I'm one of those people that I know Justin will force his way through because he's a completionist. He wants to finish the game. So if you ever hear him say he didn't finish a game, I would steer clear of that game because that means there's something really fucked up with it. But I'm one of those people where I'm like, if I start to feel like I'm wasting my time, I feel like time is the only commodity on this planet that is actually real. And I'm just not willing to throw it away on something that once I've got what I want out of it, I guess. So.
Yeah, I will admit that even though I did love this game, it really plays to my personal taste. This is my sort of game, so of course I would love it. And yeah, the music, back to what Alex said, the music is absolutely awesome. Although I did get a copyright claim because of that music when I posted my last episode.
Oh,
so,
which track was it? You know,
I don't remember. It's not an artist that I recognized, but it's not like there's ads on my videos anyway. But I did want to note that these artists aren't complete nobodies in this game. They obviously have some kind of profile, or I wouldn't have gotten that copyright claim. Justin, what did you think of Technolust?
It didn't give a very good first impression. You know, you don't know what the hell you're doing. You're in that hacking thing, and you're like, what the hell is this? And then you get into that apartment, and like you said, the controls are weird, and you can't tell what can I click on and what can I not. Like, you press grip to pick things up, so that's why all of us were confused by that whole press the trigger on the aluminum can to make it, and then it disappears. You don't even have any indication that you actually got it. So you had to get aluminum, you had to get carbon. I'm not even sure how I got all the carbon.
Toaster,
yeah. So burnt toast.
So it had to be burnt. Okay.
You have to do it 3 times. Yeah.
That's what I did, and then
it just disappears. You don't have to pick it up or anything.
How are you supposed to know that that's what I actually did?
Yeah.
Just gotta guess and be
That's
lucky.
the one that disappeared, and I was like trying to figure out how the hell did the carbon disappear. And the only thing, then I was like, hang on a minute, I did the toaster, and then it was one of them. I would have given up on it, I think, if it wasn't for the fact we were talking it on this show at that point, because it was so frustrating not knowing what to do.
Yeah. That was my second time going back in, because after initially not being able to figure out, I just was like, all right, I'm done. So I went back in after you guys were talking about it, and so toast would have been carbon before it was burnt, so that annoys me. Like, it's carbon already. Anything organic in that room was carbon. I mean, I don't know if everything has carbon. I don't know. So then you ended up in a hallway, and like I was like going under those doors, like what the hell am I supposed to press on? I was getting frustrated with that, like, and then I finally started figuring out how the game worked. And then once I got out into the city, I was like, all right, I kind of like this now. And I went to the strip club, and I was like, all right, this is getting better. And I liked the music in that. It was like Holodecks place. The music was cool.
Did you actually go inside the strip club? Because that was all fenced off.
I went inside.
How did you get inside?
It was a place called Holodecks.
Yeah, that's
it wasn't really a strip club. It seemed more like maybe a brothel.
Yeah, brothel. That's what I meant. Yeah.
Like it's like you plug in and like a virtual strip club almost. But
when I went to the brothel rooms, it was androids though. It were like robots. Sex robots, I guess.
And you could jack into them and get.
You jacked into them?
You could jack into them and get the memory from them. At least one of them.
I didn't know that.
See, because when I went in, I went on the second playthrough. So I triggered an event where this robot killed. It like walked in and then like shot the place up.
Oh, the Ed 209.
Yeah, I triggered something that went in, and then I went back through on the second playthrough. So then when I went inside, that Ed 209, whatever it's called, was inside, and it was all smoke, and everyone was dead, and the place was all. This is what I'm saying about the second play. You can go through this game again, and things. I think events change, so you play. It's different depending on.
In my playthrough, I didn't have to load the game again. Like
no. I went straight from the arcade to the holodecks, and it was exactly like that. It was.
Oh, is that already?
Yeah.
Because the Ed 209 walked into there and like.
Oh right, yeah, I watched that already. So maybe I didn't realize you could walk in. No, because it was all fenced off. I couldn't get through because I tried. I don't
Right,
know.
right.
Yeah.
But after the arcade, it's not fenced off anymore.
Oh, I didn't go back.
Yeah, that was
So
confusing. I was like, could I get to this before? And I didn't. I just didn't go. It was, I wasn't sure how the sequence of events were.
oh, okay.
Um,
That's confusing.
so yeah, it even growled. The Ed 209. It was like from RoboCop. That's what the Ed 209 was from. Did you see
Yeah,
RoboCop?
it was a bit smaller though. It didn't seem as big as the one in RoboCop.
Yeah. And then the arcade I liked. 'Cause there was 3D Space Invaders. There was Tetris, like a giant ass Tetris that was all surrounding you, like four different sides of Tetris. That was hard as hell because you had to do one side, then go turn to this side, then turn to that, then like keep going around. Well, then there's that ball game where you shoot balls. That was stupid. Did you play that in
Oh,
the arcade?
inside the little room.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was like,
I
what?
tried that for about 2 seconds, and then yeah,
Yeah,
okay, that's enough.
there might have been another arcade game. But yeah, I got to like Chinatown, and I haven't tried anything in Chinatown yet, so that's about where I am. But
Yeah, the thing is, there isn't like you get those arcades early on, and then you do the little hacking game, but that is pretty much it. There's no unless there's more that I didn't see. There isn't any more of that sort of mini game sort of thing. Once you get past that point, it's
Mhm.
just watching the story unfold sort of thing. So, uh, yeah, that's the main gameplay of the game really. Because when I got to that point, I thought that there was going to be more of that stuff in, but I didn't see any more of it really. I think there was one more hacking thing where you've got the little character, but there wasn't. I expected there to be more to that, like it was going to evolve throughout. But that's why I'm saying it felt like it was tacked on rather than designed through. Because I thought you were going to have to hack a few times, and then the levels were going to get harder. With the little girl with the gun.
yeah,
Right.
But it didn't. There was like 2 levels, and then that was it, and it was really easy. So
Oh, okay. Well, there you have it, folks. I loved it. Roots didn't particularly care for it. Alex and Justin, everywhere in between. So if you're into this sort of thing, this futuristic dystopian type of a story, definitely check it out. If not, maybe wait for a sale or don't pick it up. Check out my playthrough on my channel, and we'll be coming back to this universe as we do have access to the beta build of the sequel, which it's not a straight sequel, it's a spiritual sequel. Takes place in the same universe, and after we all check that out, we'll come back here and talk about that some as well. But there you go. That takes us to Justin. Justin, what do you want to talk about first?
all right. I'm going to talk about first. I'm going to talk about this game, Vengeful Rites. And the other game is very similar. Both these games that I'm going to talk about, their initials are VR, and they're both medieval fantasy role-playing games. So this is Vengeful Rites. This is, like I said, medieval role-playing fantasy. You have a sword, you get a bow and arrow, and you have magic. So this is actually gesture magic that you get. So like you have a destruction spell where you throw the fireballs like you're actually throwing a baseball. Then you have kinesis where you can levitate objects like you're a Jedi. Like you can move them anywhere around by moving your arm around. You bring your arm to your chest, and then the object comes close to you. You go here, and then it goes further away, and you can direct it. So like there are puzzles you can do where you can like put a ladder over here, and then that way I can get up to this place up there. Then there's a protection spell which just gives you life back because you're gonna get hurt, and then you're gonna have to use the protection spell. And then there's a protection spell, so you can create a shield, and you can do the magic in either hand, whichever one you choose. So you could have a shield in this arm, and you can, as you're going through the game, you can like get new spells. So like different shield spells, different types of kinesis spells. Like I said, the kinesis is like a Jedi. Well, you can do like a force push. You hold your hand here, and then you do that, and then you do a force push move that might throw boulders out of the way or might knock an enemy back. So like just on that video now, what he just did was he had his sword out and he rubbed a stone on it. You get enchanted stones and you can enchant your sword to give it different magical abilities. Like you can electrify your enemies or catch them on fire, stuff like that. And it's funny when they teach you. There's a whole narrator, that's voiced well that teaches you how to do everything in the game. And he says, like when you're enchanting your blade, remember to go from the base to the tip. And I thought that was. I thought that
Are we
was
talking
funny.
about a blade?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a pickaxe, so you can find gold, mine for gold. You go around finding gold and treasure. It's just like Carnage Chronicles or Vanishing Realms, where you kill an enemy and then like they might drop treasure or they'll drop arrows, and you get those. And there's also this developer's really active and always improving stuff. So these trailers are kind of old, so he's probably improved the graphics some. But like the biggest drawback of this game is probably the graphics. Everything else is great, but the graphics are pretty simple. If that turns you off, maybe if you're a graphics whore, maybe you wouldn't want to play this. But like I think this game has the best melee of any actual like game with levels. Like all those games, like Vanishing Realms, Carnage Chronicles, Skyrim, Shadow Legend. This game has the best melee. Because when they swing at you from different, they do different moves, and like you can block them with your sword, and then parry, and it just feels really good. You can use your shield, your magical shield to block their attacks. Like he's using a shield there on his left hand. The developer keeps adding more stuff. Like he's just added crafting, so like you can melt metal and you can find iron ore around the world, and then you can craft weapons. I haven't even gotten a chance to try that yet because I beat this game a while back. It took 4 hours, so it's about as long as Shadow Legend. You might be able to make it last longer than I did. It's on sale right now for $15 until May 25th, and I say this is a must buy. If you like these types of games, Vanishing Realms, Skyrim, Carnage Chronicles, any of that stuff, then this is a must buy. As you can see, you can climb. I'm not sure what else I'm forgetting. You can climb trees and get stuff. You can you can buy swords, bows, scepters. This game has magical swords that have special magical abilities that you can buy. That's a new thing he added. You can buy potions. You can buy those enchantment stones. It has free locomotion that's hand oriented, which is always nice. But you can also teleport if you like that. So the pros are the melee, the magic, and the physical interactions, because you can interact with everything and like pick objects up, and you have a backpack. You can store items in your backpack inventory and pull them out and like put it back. You can upgrade all your stuff. And there are perk points. So like at certain points in the game, maybe you'll find these perks that like just like in Skyrim, you can like increase your bow and arrow skills, or increase your melee skills, or increase your magic, like and 2 more chapters are coming. The developer is working on chapter 2 now. Right now it's chapter 1, and he's really active. So this is in early access, but I feel confident that the developer will actually deliver. So any questions?
I was going to play this. You recommended this to me when we were playing Shadow Legend. You said this is better than Shadow Legend.
To me, it is.
So I did install it, but then when I looked, this was a couple of months ago, I think, or maybe a month ago, and they were still updating it, and I realized it was early access, so I decided to wait.
Yeah.
And they've actually updated it since then as well. So they are still updating things, and so for me personally, I'm going to wait until you know me. I like to wait.
You're gonna have to wait for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I'll wait and see, but he is still updating it. That's the thing, and it's I always like to wait for the kind of finished products. So I haven't played it, but Rooks, I think you've played this one, have you?
Yeah, and I envy you, Alex, because I have no fucking patience whatsoever. Like, I got to play it now. I don't care if it's in the early access, just because I want it. I just need to play it now. Like, you do have patience above and beyond. This game, it does. It's just, it reminds me so much of Carnage Chronicles. Obviously not nearly as beautiful, like Justin said. The graphics are a little bit simplistic, but the game is so good that it was so easy for me to look past the graphics on any level, and it's not like they're horrible either. It's just the grass is, you can tell it's not, doesn't look like real grass, but it's what I think makes this game. Of course, with the melee is amazing, like Justin said, but the magic. And I haven't gotten to the point where I've got multiple spells yet, but I would imagine, like with the shield, like the protective spell, like you said, you put it in your hand, and all you do is you click on the trigger and you twist to the left, or whichever. If it's the right, you twist to the right. It's outwards, and now you've got a shield there. Your healing spell, you grab the healing and you just bring it to your chest and you heal yourself. Like, everything is so easy and so intuitive. The fireball, that was so fucking awesome. Like, I'm fighting two guys that are kicking my ass, and I said, "Oh, I got fire," and I grab it and I like 3 fireballs and they just melted into flames. And now you got mana, so you have to watch your mana as well. And they got mana shards that you got to go up to and grab into. But it was so by far better than Carnage Chronicles gameplay wise, and I would agree with Shadow Legends as well. And I really love the gameplay. I am excited to see where this will go in the end, because the combat is what's intuitive, and it's not. I don't see that in many games that are like this. It's got all the other aspects of it, exploring or whatever, or searching around, getting treasure, buying stuff. Even how many games do we have where we can enchant our weapons? Like, they're slowly entering these things into our games and bringing this AAA stuff into our content. But I would agree with Justin, especially since it's on sale. This would be a game I would feel like, if you did like any of those games we listed, you're missing out on this one. And it's 3 years old, 2-3 years old, and they're still adding on to it. And it's good. It's really good.
I think it was last year. I think it came out.
Is it last year? Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's not as old.
It's not that
But
old.
it's definitely it is definitely very, very well made, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah. It's a must buy if you like this type of game. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think it looks really cool. I like the art style, even though it is low poly and low texture. It's really cartoony and cool looking. I'd be interested to see if something like this could come to the Quest.
I knew you were going to
Because
say that.
it looks like a Quest title. I mean, looking at it, it looks like a Quest title.
Oh yeah, I was playing it yesterday just to so I remembered some stuff. And when I was doing melee against those goblins, I was moving around a lot, like, because they were. If I didn't, I was rotating all the way around them because I'm wireless. So this does need Quest. I mean, I would have a tough time with a cord because I was doing so many 360s just to try to like trick the guy. But
I do the same thing with my locomotion, but it probably doesn't feel as real. Like, for you, you're really in there fighting that dude, right?
Yeah, I'm really fighting the dude. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. If nobody else has anything else on, what was this? Vengeful Rites? Vanishing Realms.
No,
Okay.
This is
Vengeful
Vengeful Rites.
Vengeful Rites.
Yeah.
Vengeful Rites. Okay. All right. Alex, on to you, buddy.
Oh,
What do you
yeah,
want
it's
to
me,
talk
isn't
about?
it? The first one I'm going to talk about is Blind, which is a game that came out last year. It's a very story-driven puzzle game. Very linear. You start out, you play a woman who is involved in a car crash, and she wakes up and she's blind, hence the name. So you can't see. The only way you can see is by, if you hold your hand out and you've got your hand near something, then it lights up that little area, kind of to simulate you touching something and feeling your way around. And then you can pick things up and you can throw them, and then you get like a echo, like the sound echoes around and highlights the environment. So this game got a lot of bad reviews from what I can remember when it came out, and it didn't really get a lot of hype. And I've got access to it through Justin's Steam account, and I've got to be honest, I was 50-50 whether I was even going to bother trying it, but I just figured, you know what, he sounds like my kind of game, so I put it on. And the first probably an hour and a half, I was actually really enjoying it, and I just thought, I don't really understand why this game's not get why it got so much uh, shit really. Um, I liked the fact that you felt really vulnerable because you literally can't see anything. I think it does a really good job of making you feel like you are a visually impaired person who can't really see what you're doing. You do get a cane, which you activate with a trigger, and then you can literally whack any surface, and then you'll get a sound, and then that's to save you having to keep finding things to throw around. And it works well, and the you can sell this. There's got good sound design. If you hit carpet, it sounds like you're hitting carpet. If you hit a cupboard, it sounds like you're hitting a cupboard. So I like the detail. The sound is obviously important in this game because you have to rely on sound as well as obviously effectively using sound by seeing anyway. But they did a really good job with the spatial audio. The story is quite a dark story. You are. I don't really want to spoil the story too much, but you're in. It starts off with like a little comic book style cinematic where you're this girl and you've got your brother Scott or Scott as she says because she's got this really weird sort of old English accent. Oh, Scotty, where's Scotty gone? And she talks like this, and it's kind of weird. But you're in this big mansion, and from what I can tell, the mansion is your house that you used to live in with your parents, and you're going through, and there's like holograms start appearing, and you sort of play out the story, and you can start figuring out what's going on. And then there's this masked character you can see in the trailer. He keeps talking to you and telling you, like, guiding you a little bit, and you can't tell whether he's on your side or whether he's against you. The puzzles are environmental puzzles, so you have to manipulate the environment, put cogs to figure out where the cogs need to go, match up. Sometimes you have to listen to tape recordings and pick up on certain cues, which will help you figure out the next puzzle. But what I found is that I felt like the puzzles were hard enough to keep me trying to figure them out, but then the girl you're playing does sometimes give you little hints. She'll say, oh, maybe if I do this, and then it gives you a little nudge in the right direction. So I didn't get really too frustrated with the puzzles where I was getting really stuck and didn't know what to do, because she'd give you a little nudge sometimes to help you out, and I found the puzzles satisfying. The problem with this game is that the mechanic of you having to whack things and throw things around to get around the environment gets old, basically. And I feel kind of bad feeling it because there's people obviously who can't see, and they have to spend their entire life walking around with a cane trying to figure out how to get there. But it makes you appreciate having vision, because after a while it gets so frustrating, just because there's a point where you lose your cane, they take your cane off you, and that part dragged. Like, I'd say probably the last hour of the game, an hour and a half of the game just dragged so much. I just couldn't wait for the thing to be over. I wanted to get to the end. I wanted to see where the story went, but the gameplay was just getting so repetitive. Not in the puzzles, but just trying to get my way around. Like, you've got to find something to get through to the next section. So you're literally, I was going through a section where you haven't got the cane. I was literally like a blind person, where I'm with my hands out, trying to feel the environment to light up so I can pick something up to then throw it. And you're constantly having to throw things and throw things and throw things and try and figure out where these things are. And it just became so frustrating that I was struggling I had to force myself to go back in there, because I knew that I was going to be up against this same mechanic of trying to just moving around the world became a chore. And it starts off as a plus, and it ends up being a negative, and I can now see, after playing through it, why people didn't like the game. I feel like maybe they would have been better off starting it like that, and then maybe as you got on, something happened, then maybe you got your vision back or something. But it took me about 4 hours to play through it, and it was just too long for that mechanic to keep me interested. It just became such a frustration that it just ruined the game for me.
Yeah.
Justin, I'm sorry. I was just going to ask you what you thought about this game.
Same thing, basically. It's weird that we both finished it, even though we both were just like annoyed the whole time. Um,
It was the last hour and a half, really. I was enjoying it up to
okay.
that point. The voice acting's good as well, and the
Hmm.
production. I mean, you can tell that the story takes place in a different time. I don't know if you guys picked up on this because obviously it's an English accent, but that no one talks like that anymore.
It's probably an
Uh,
American impersonating an English person.
that's what I thought, but yeah, it's definitely got like that's how they used to talk. Back in the 40s and 50s, they used to have a different way of speaking. If you listen to some of the old recordings from the World War, people used to talk differently, and they've got that kind of Scotty, where's Scotty, and like this weird English, very weird English accent. So that's not a normal accent if you're an American listening to that. But I think overall, the production value, the voice acting is good. But yeah, it's like you said, Justin. I was like you. I was playing through it just to get through it because I wanted to see. I don't think you were that interested in the story probably as much as me. So
I didn't really understand the story very much. I've never been like huge into story. I'm more into gameplay.
yeah, a good story will really help me continue to play a game. The story I think is good. I think that it's interesting and it goes darker and darker. It starts off just the tone of the I can't really say anything without spoiling it, but just the tone of the story.
Mhm.
Obviously, it's a dark game visually, but just the tone of the actual story itself is quite dark as well. And that kept me going, wanting to find out what the hell was going on, really. So
I still don't understand this guy, this Polygon guy.
it shows you. It shows you. I can't say anything about spoiling.
I don't
but just-
remember. Yeah.
he takes his mask off, and you find out what he is.
Oh, okay. Well, then I must
Yeah.
have seen. I just didn't remember what the deal was.
Yeah, I
with
think
that.
you were probably just that busy, just thinking like, let me
I was
just
like,
get out of here.
yeah.
You weren't paying attention to.
Yeah, I was tired of just beating the stick everywhere. I mean, I was just like this the whole time. Just like, it wasn't terrible. I like puzzles, so one of the puzzles I had to look up, like that clock puzzle. Like, did you have any issues with that clock puzzle?
No, I figured out the clock one. There was one that the picture frame
Mhm.
in a bedroom.
Oh yeah.
I just couldn't figure out what the hell I was supposed to be doing, and I was just walking around, clicking on everything, trying to pick everything up,
Yeah.
and I just got so frustrated. I did look that one
I
up.
can't even
to be honest with
remember what the deal was with that one. But yeah.
you. You just had to turn the paper over. That was all it. There was something underneath. 'Cause you kind of have to, sometimes you have to. You've got to do a certain action for the story to progress, and if
Yeah.
you don't do that, then the thing that you need, like there'll be an item that you need, but you can't get to that item. It doesn't exist until you've done something else.
Yeah.
And you have to just turn the paper upside down and look at something. Then she says something, then something else appears, which you can go to. So there's certain things like that. But I liked some of the clock one. I actually quite liked the way you actually listen to the tapes and figure out.
But
the time and things.
even after I saw what to do on the internet, it still wouldn't work for me. It was like getting the time on the, you know.
Yeah, I did. I don't know how. I just listened to the tapes and she gave me a clue. I don't know if they maybe have updated. Did she like give you a little clue to listen to the tapes and stuff?
I
when you
listened
were
to
playing?
all the tapes, and
Yeah.
it just wasn't working. It took a lot of times for me to for the clock to finally register. Even
I
don't know why.
kind of knew what time it was, and I kind of just moved the thing, and eventually it just clicked, and then it moved me on. So,
okay. Well, we
But-
kind of spoiled that puzzle.
well, we haven't spoiled them.
Well, we've
figure out-
already established you don't want to go that far anyway, probably.
You've still got to figure these things out for yourself. Like we didn't tell you what time to put in or anything. You've still got to listen to the tapes. But yeah,
Roots, what did you think about Blind?
I kind of went into it. I bought this game. Actually, it was funny because I watched on VR365, or I don't even know if it was VR365 back then, but on Anthony's show, he was raving about it. And so I bought into the hype, and I bought it. And then so I never played it. I just bought it, thought I'll play it somewhere down the road. This was the perfect opportunity to check it out. It's one of the reasons why I love doing this show. It's not one of the reasons why I love this game or didn't love it. I was kind of, it was okay in the beginning. I kept thinking, I'm doing the first puzzles and I'm throwing shit around and it is starting to get frustrating a little bit for the darkness. And I'm thinking, I just need to find my cane. Just need to find the cane. Found the cane, and about 10 minutes later, I'm like, this fucking sucks. Like, you know, it's just a lot of hitting, and you can actually, you can tap it, and it'll just a little bit of light. You can smack it hard, and you can actually get it to where it'll like have a feedback, like you did too much. So there is kind of like a fine line of how to control that, but I just found it frustrating and more annoying than anything. Like Alex was saying, there's nothing worse than trying to solve a puzzle in the dark, and you're looking around and you've gone around the room 17 times and you're still not finding it. And now I hit that point where it was not fun anymore, and I couldn't see myself going through it, especially, oh God forbid you take my fucking cane from me again. No, hell no. That would have definitely been the place I stopped. I like to finish games, but I like to have fun at the same time, and it just doesn't, it stopped being fun about halfway through or where I got. So.
Yeah, I think it makes a good first impression, which is probably why Anthony raved about it, because I played the first hour or so, and I thought, why are people shitting on this game? I like it. It's good. I like the production value, the story. I was interested in it. I wanted to keep playing it. That point when you lose your cane, God damn it. And I mean, there's some cool bits. Like there's like wind chimes. So like when the wind blows through a window and the chimes start coming through, and you can see the ripple effect. And there's some really good things that they've done with the way they played with the sound and the animations and the way that the mechanic worked, but it just grew old. Just went on too long, and I just felt like they would have been better off. They built the entire game around this mechanic basically, and the mechanic was just too frustrating. It's okay for an hour, for 4 hours, it just became too frustrating.
But you're right though. It would have. That's exactly why why he raved about it, because I would have raved about it probably after an hour. And if you don't get deep into the game, you're gonna not realize that this is getting old.
I have a game called Static that has a similar thing, where you have to like throw objects and stuff to see what's around you. But it's more of a horror game, and I think I like Static more than Blind. Probably most people wouldn't. They probably like Blind more. But Static, because of the horror element, and there's a lot of places where you have to really run to get away from what's trying to kill you. I like that more.
Cool. Yeah, Static is. I haven't played either of them, but they do look very similar. So yeah, cool. Roots, what do you want to talk about today, buddy?
All right. My first game, even though it's not in order of how we have it listed, is Seeking Dawn. Developer Multiverse. Currently going for $29.99. I believe when it first released, it was $39.99. And so that was kind of one of the reasons why it wasn't received as well as I believe it should be. Second reason is on release, the performance was the jankiest fucking thing I've ever seen. Like I even had to get it to run. I had to down sample it to like 0.7 or something, turn everything low, and that was just to get it playable. And so like up until May 15th, I would have told you this was a hard pass, not because of the content or how it looks, if it were to run right, but optimization wise, it was horrible. But May 15th, they put out a patch. And what's interesting about this patch is people were talking shit like there's not much to this patch. It's 10 gigabytes, but there's no extra monsters. There's no, like, it's almost purely optimization. Now there is a little bit of I think they increased the languages it gets translated into to like Chinese and Russian, a couple other languages. But this game, now that it's fixed, is amazing. Like it's a sci-fi game. You essentially you're sent to this planet looking for another ship that had gone there and disappeared, and so you're going to see what happened to it. And when you get there, you just come and encounter with all these alien monsters. Now, I haven't even gotten to that shit. Those big monsters, there's some crazy monsters that I want to get to, but I never gave it the time because it was so janky. It is definitely, like, I was able to turn it up to the max, which is 1.2 on the super sampling. And now, granted, on the outside, it automatically defaulted to 45 ASW, and and that was fine because I couldn't tell a difference. But when I went inside, it started getting weird. It started fluctuating between 45 and 60 something, and you could tell. So I had to literally lock it into 45 ASW for everything. And once I did that, it was butter smooth. Everything was perfect. So you can tell that they're still working on the optimization. They were able to get it to work well with ASW, and I don't know. I've got a 1070, so maybe a 1080 Ti or something a little bit more powerful would be able to juice it up a little bit. But it was amazing. Now it's a multiplayer game. I think it's at least 3 people, and it's it's got a lot of different guns. Now they added a new mode. It's a gun master mode, I believe, and it lets the guns progress in level. And I haven't gone too far into it, but when I did go into that last night, it almost felt like there was more enemies and they were actually harder. So I think either across the board they've actually increased the skill level, or maybe with this new mode. But it was really cool. I think we didn't, Justin. We went into it a little bit one time, I believe, or I thought we did, but I know I did with somebody here.
Right.
It was me.
Okay, it was
I
Wes.
played it with you for a little while.
Okay, yeah, that's right. And it was even different from there. Now, this one thing that's cool about this is it's got crafting. You go around, you get materials, you craft different guns, you craft your ammo, you craft your food, actual armor. You upgrade armor, get different levels of armor. So, like, there's a lot of the things that I love about AAA that make you want to go back into a game. This game has it all. And it's I'm afraid that a lot of people have already written this off. Like, I know Anthony from VR365, like, it was so janky on his computer, it actually crashed it, and he doesn't want to go back into it. And this game is so, like, this is his game. This game was made for Anthony. Everything he loves, the sci-fi, just everything. So it's a real shame to think of someone like him missing out on this game because the optimization wasn't there in the beginning. Because now that I've seen what I saw last night, like, I can't imagine not playing the game through all the way. It just is that good. So yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think Anthony, when he tried this, wasn't he running one of the 970 at the time?
Yeah.
Yep, and he had just switched his computer over to the new processor, so he was, I think that was what he was worried about. So,
yeah, because I've had this game since before launch. I was in the beta with it, and there's always been some jank, but on my 1080, it never has been game breaking. It's always done okay. I think a lot of the early negative reviews came from such a successful pre-release ad campaign. A lot of people were expecting this game to be the singularity, to be the one that gives us everything we want. And when it wasn't absolutely perfect at launch, a lot of people were disappointed. But this game was very good then. It's even better now. Really, the worst jank that I experienced with it on launch was when I was playing co-op. There was a lot of jank that really made co-op unplayable at the time. But I still continued to play it single player. And I didn't finish it, but I've got probably 10 hours into this game. And I've enjoyed every bit of it. It's a beautiful world. It's big with lots of areas, lots of different wildlife, animals, and plants. And like you were saying, you have to scavenge and craft everything that you use in the game. So there's a lot of detail on that type of gameplay. And I agree. I think it's a very good game. And anybody who writes this off because of any early jank is missing out. Justin, what did you think about Seeking
I have a
Dawn?
question about the trailer. I see a lot of slow-mo shots. Does that actually ever happen in the game?
Just in
I
the titles, like on the title screen, it happens, but I don't remember it really happening in the game.
Because I
See,
remember.
well, it happened on those big monsters, right? And I never got that far to see if those big monsters do that or not.
I remember there being criticism for the trailer not being like the game. So they might have used some fake footage, maybe some footage that wasn't the actual
Yeah.
game to make it. People might have been mad about that.
Yeah,
Maybe
the
I don't
trailer.
remember.
Sorry,
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say the trailer definitely looks like it's some sort of pre-rendered. Like, it doesn't look like, from what I've played, doesn't look as good as the game. Like the game doesn't look as good as that
Trailer,
trailer.
Have you played it since the optimization? Because once I turned it up to 1.2 and everything was, it looked freaking amazing. And all the stuff moving, especially when you go into those like red fields where the grass is all. I mean, there's some amazing stuff.
Yeah, that does. I was taken aback by that myself. There's so many things moving, literally thousands of things in your area moving at any time. The grass is all moving. There's little insects. There's big insects. There's all kinds of animals, friendly and foe. It's amazing how much movement that they've achieved without everything just getting all jittery and glitchy. Like many other games would. It really is an impressive feat of game development, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm impressed by it. I just don't like when any developer gives you a fake trailer. And
Right.
I think that's what I think they're giving a misleading trailer, and I don't care how good your game is. Do not do that.
Well, I agree with that.
But anyway,
Sure.
I played this. I played the demo back when that like first came out, a free demo, and the performance was really bad, even on my 1080 Ti, and it was really blurry, even with me trying to increase the super sampling, and I didn't like it. But I played this just last week, after this performance update and everything else, and I liked it a lot. The performance was pretty good, and it wasn't blurry, and I had it at 1.8 super sampling on my wireless, because wireless already uses up a lot of your CPU and impacts your CPU. So like the performance was pretty good. There were some places I got where like if there's like a space a station like on the ground, like a base, I definitely get reprojection there. Some certain parts, yeah, I could see my hand reprojecting, but it was perfectly tolerable for the most part. I thought it was hilarious that when you first walk into that room, that woman's bent over the counter, with her ass sticking out. I was like, they're definitely
Okay.
catering this to us guys here.
Well, and then
Yeah,
she specifies to call her Captain Coleman after she's leaning over like that. Now, I'm
Yeah.
not thinking Captain anything, but
Yeah. So I'm gonna go back
Yeah.
into this. I liked it.
I agree. Maybe we should try to hook up on this one because we all kind of need to get back into it. I made it pretty far. I felt like I was close to the end because there was this boss I was fighting that was just impossible. It moved so quickly and was so hard to hit. It was the commander or whatever commander. I forget what it was a name that you'd recognize if you've made it that far. But I think if it's not the end of the game boss, I'm getting close. But definitely a great game.
Yeah,
And highly recommended.
I definitely want to go back into this one. I did say I was going to wait until I got the index, but now that it's got this update, I might check it out. It's just one of those games that look. It's about the world as well, and obviously, I mean, I didn't really get into the daylight. That's the only thing. I only did like 30 minutes, but the performance was so bad that I got motion sick and I had to go out of it. And I tried twice, both times. It was just the frames were so bad. It was
bad.
It wasn't. It wasn't even like 45. It was like 35 frames per second or something. It was really choppy. So because the enemies do kind of jump at you, you do need to be moving around a lot. So I was kind of like moving around trying to shoot them, and it just made me sick. So I like it. I think it looks great, but hopefully this performance update has really helped it out because I think it's a shame. This list does look like a AAA game. I mean, it's visually really nice. I like the hood as well, the way the hood comes up and then you grab something out of the hood and the system. I thought it was quite a good system with the way that it works. So this is one that, it's like you say, Roots. It seems to have just got completely missed out and no one talks about it. And this is a really. I mean, I think it was probably a bit choppy on launch. Like I said, it's taken this long for them to update it enough now to where it can run properly. So maybe it's one to keep an eye out and get on a sale, but it's definitely, people should definitely put it back on their radar, I think.
I have a question. So I know you can get rid of the helmet. I wanted to get rid of the whole HUD, but I don't think there's a way to do that.
No, I tried, but you couldn't get rid of it.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't totally get rid of it. I don't know. No, I don't think so. No, but
I do.
yeah.
I think that menu system, Alex, though, is so cool. Like, because you hit a button and you've got your smart menu and you've got whatever guns you want, and you just grab in there and it's in your fucking hand, you know. And it is very intuitive, and I'd love to see a lot more games do their menus like that because it's very interactive.
Yeah, it feels really futuristic, and it kind of fits in with the helmet and the hood and everything, and like this, the way it animates in, and then you can reach in and just grab things or put things in there, and it's a really cool system. I'm not really seeing many games utilize a system like that. Most of them, they've obviously got a backpack or some sort of. But this is because it's quite a futuristic game. It works well with the theme of it.
Yeah.
Cool. So it sounds like a thumbs up from everyone, even despite the early jank with the game. It looks like it's making a strong comeback. So if you ever see this one on sale, definitely pick it up. Next is my turn again, and I just really quickly wanted to talk about a game I played a while back that I really enjoyed, Operation Warcade. It's an arcade-style shooter available on all platforms. I played this on PlayStation VR with my aim controller because, you know, always looking for something else to play with the aim controller, right? And this game, despite being very basic, is very fun, especially if you're the type of person who grew up playing these sorts of arcade games. If you remember Operation Wolf, this game is a remake of Operation Wolf. And when you go in, you're basically in an arcade. You walk up to the cabinet. You have different game modes to choose from. You choose your game mode and you get right in, just like a regular arcade game. And so the whole hook with this thing is you're sitting there with your gun, shooting the little guys as the world scrolls by from right to left. Different enemies and vehicles enter the scene, and you shoot them from a distance. But you come to these immersion points. Justin, did you talk about Operation Warcade on here before?
I did video of it.
Okay, maybe that's. I've got your voice in my head now.
Yeah.
As I'm trying to explain it.
No, you did a video on your channel, but I don't think we talked about it on this.
Okay, so check out Justin's video on it. But there are these immersion points that you come to in the stage, and if you shoot them with your gun, you go from being on the outside of the screen to being on the inside of the screen in the game, ground level. And that's when the immersion really kicks up and the game really gets fun. And even when you're on ground level fighting these enemies, it still retains that classic arcade feel. All the sound effects are like an old arcade game. When you shoot the guys, they die and they go, "Ha!" Just like, you know, they would have back then. And really, there's two objectives. I played through this game twice, each level twice, each time with a different objective. The first time I went through it, I went through trying to get all the stars. They give you these objectives like achieve so many headshots, don't kill any hostages. They give you these type of objectives to complete the stage and complete the objectives while doing it. When you do so, they give you the stars, and how many stars you have determines, it unlocks the levels. You go further in the game, the more stars you have. So I would go through each level playing for the stars, and when I got every star from the level, then I would play through it again for points. And basically, because I liked the game so much, I wanted to see what I could do with the leaderboard. I haven't checked it since I quit playing the game. I haven't played this game in probably 3 or 4 months, but when I left this game, I was #1 in the world on the global leaderboard for the aim controller. So I need to get back in and check it out, see if anyone's been able to challenge my score. I didn't just take the top spot. I kept going, and put a little gap in there. So it may still stand to this day. I wouldn't be surprised if it did. But if not, I definitely need to get in there and check it out and take my place back, my rightful place above all VR players that I will one day ascend to, and you all worship me. But that's another story for another day. Justin, you have a lot of experience with this game and arcade games in general. What do you think about it?
I think if you liked Operation Wolf, if you liked any games like that in the arcade, you would love this game. This is like that, but even better because like Wes said, you have those immersion points where you have bow and arrow. You can drive a truck while you're shooting at people. You get sniper rifles. You get knives. You get flamethrowers. What's not to like? I mean,
yeah, it's destruction. The guys are so easy to kill.
yeah.
I'll tell you what, too. What's frustrating are those little guys that run up to you with the knives.
Yeah.
I hate those guys, man. Yeah, I still have nightmares about them.
Yeah, they freak me out too.
Yeah. Let's see. You all played this game, didn't you? So, Alex, what do you think about it?
I loved it. Yeah, it's one of those where it doesn't look like. If when you look at it on a flat screen, it doesn't really look like much, but when you actually play it, because of the way that you go in with the immersion points, and there's a lot of variety as well. Like there's sometimes you drive in a car with one hand with an Uzi. Sometimes you're in a helicopter with a minigun. Sometimes you're flying a plane. Sometimes the plane and the airplane and the helicopter are so hard to fly. Even with this simple, I never figure out how to control them. They've got like a simplified version, like a more simulation. I'd just crash immediately every time. So
I couldn't tell the difference.
Yeah, they didn't feel right. They never felt like I was in control.
Maybe Wes can teach us.
Maybe it's different with the aim controller. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, there's some definitely. I have noticed on Justin's playthroughs and other people's playthroughs, there are aspects to this game that I did not access on the aim version. For example, the airplane. You can't fly the airplane in the aim controller version.
Yeah, because you use your hands to actually use the stick and the throttle in the cabin.
Right.
But it just don't feel like. I mean, I've done flying games and stuff, and it just didn't feel right to me. I just immediately crash every time. So you're not missing much on that. They're probably the worst parts of the game. But there's stuff like where you've got a shotgun, like two shotguns, and you're like out of a plane, and you've got to throw it. The throwing knife was weird because I kept trying to throw it, and then I'd throw it into the ground.
Yeah.
And you just had to aim and then click. That like a gun basically.
Yeah.
So that didn't. I always found myself struggling with that. It was only after I watched you actually, Justin, and I realized, you just kind of just do this. Yeah. Whereas I was like literally trying to throw the knives. But there's a lot of variety, and it's really cool with the way. Because there's like 5 different areas, but then each level they kind of come at a different angle. There's different enemies, and then you've got your achievements like your stars. So you've got to sometimes get so many kills with the shotgun. So there's a certain section where you're going through it, and when you go back through again, you've got to get 7 kills. But if you die in that immersion point, you get put back into the cabinet. So you're trying to dodge bullets, and like you're feeling that pressure. Like I've got 3, I've got 4. And you're trying to get the kills before you get put back into the cabinet. So it's really, it's one of those games that it's just all about the gameplay, and the gameplay overall, most of the gameplay feels solid and is really good fun. And you can pick it up cheap as well. If you wait for a sale, you can pick this up on, I think I paid like £6 or something for it. So you can pick it up for a really good price.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's on sale all the time for sub $10, and again, it's just fun. It may not look like the best game in the world, but sometimes a game is just fun, and this is one of those games. Roots, what do you think about it?
I didn't see Justin's Let's Play. I didn't know he'd done it. So when I saw the name, I was like, Operation Warcade. I'm like, what the hell is that? So I decided to go in, and it literally blew me away. Like I mean, even just the arcade, you get in there and you're playing the game, and as you're progressing through levels, you start to get a group of people that you come out and you're like, oh shit, there's like 6 people around me watching, cheering you on,
push them over.
You kind of felt
I've just
Yeah.
remembered what happened in Justin's video. Yeah, that was funny.
Push him over, Roots.
You
He
can
literally
push him
knocked,
over?
I didn't
Yeah.
realize that he knocks one over, and she was like, they kind of like just go into this. They just like seize up and then they just roll about on the floor. So Justin was like, one of them fell on his knees like in front of him, and you need to watch that video.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to do two things. I'm gonna have to go in there and do that, and I'm gonna have to watch your video.
Yeah.
Because I will go back and finish this game. And what I like is the stars, like you said, like you have to unlock. It's like Mario or whatever. Like you can only go so far with so many stars, and then you're stuck on those levels. You have to go back in and unlock some of that shit to move on. So I like that. It gives you reasons to go back in. But every weapon that I used in those immersion points, because like you'll see a box or something, you shoot that box and it'll, and like you said, you go into the game. But every single weapon I used felt amazing. Like there's bow and arrow that had exploding tips, and like it felt like a legit arcade game back in the day for me on crack. It was just so cool. I'm only 5 or 6 levels in, and it was getting increasingly hard. Like even the little soldiers are coming out in weird spots, so you can't really see them very well. So you're having to really scour for them in a little window, and then you got a fucking helicopter shooting you, and it's really cool. I am blown away that I didn't know that this game, or that the concept of this game is such a cool idea, that it just gives you another game to say this is what you miss in VR. You can't play this, you can't have this experience on a flat screen, not in the same way on any level. So
Yeah, this is just another one of those examples, and it's such an odd feeling that VR gives us this sensation of playing in a futuristic gaming environment that puts you in the game, but at the same time you get these strong feelings of nostalgia, just like Pixel Ripped. This game does the same thing, and it's a really odd feeling. It's very enjoyable to feel like you're playing in the future and in the past at the same time.
mm-hmm.
Totally awesome. Anything else on Operation Warcade?
Yeah, there were parts in the video where it went into slow-mo. I wanted to say, I don't know, somebody might have already said it, but you get special grenades. You go, special grenades! And then you
Special grenade.
you can throw them in, and then shit like it'll freeze time, or it'll, I don't know, set everyone on fire, or I don't know if there are other
Gravity.
things too.
Bullet time.
Bullet time,
Yeah.
man.
There's bits of it like it's like Super Hot where it goes into slow mo and you can dodge bullets and you're like using your gun to. So
Block stuff.
Yeah, this is a really cool way of the way they've mixed the gameplay up.
Yeah, there's all sorts of special weapons and abilities. I mean, there's the bullet time, there's gravity bombs, there's like these napalm grenades that burn everything up in the path.
That's cool.
And that's just the grenades. There's all kinds of guns and weapons too. Loads of variety.
Yeah, and as you unlock more stars, you can unlock like a laser. You could unlock things that happen. Like there's an upgrade section, so you can have like a laser pointer, dual Uzis. Like there's more stuff. It's really clever the way they did the unlock system, because it keeps you wanting to come back to get the stars, and you go back through and then you look at you look at the list of things that you need to get, and you're like, all right, okay, now I need to do this. So then you're actually playing it differently because you're trying to achieve a certain thing within the game, and it really is like an old school arcade game, but with a modern sort of twist, virtual reality twist to it.
Yeah, thank God we don't have to pay quarters to play this thing.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I probably honestly spent more money on Operation Wolf than I have on Operation Warcade.
Wow.
And that's sad, right?
Yeah.
All right. Anything else? All
No.
right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and take this opportunity to throw it to Alex because we are getting on in time here, and I'm going to have to go to work.
Okay.
And I don't think I have anything to add on any of your other games anyway. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump out. I do want to thank the viewers. Again, if you've made it this far into the video, going on 3 hours now, we love you guys. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. It helps us. It gives us credibility with developers, which gives us access to games, and it's all a team effort. So if you're watching our shows and not subscribed yet, please subscribe, like the videos, hit the notification bells, and check out our individual channels that are all linked in the description. Again, thanks for watching. Thanks for a great show, guys. I'll talk to you real soon.
All right,
Later.
see you later.
All right.
Do your little thumbs up.
Is he gonna get it?
Is it?
He got it.
He's done it.
Who's up next?
You
I'm
you
up.
are, Justin.
All right. So my final game is Vanishing Realms. This was a launch Vive game. This was widely considered probably the best game of 2016 by a lot of people. Upload gave it the best action adventure game of 2016. So it's a medieval fantasy game. There isn't really a story, really. So that's one con of it. But anyway, you start off. No, you don't actually start off with no weapons. So you go. It's a dungeon crawler. You're going through. You're getting these torches. You're looking for stuff. You find gold. There are puzzles. All these curtains and anything that you think might burn in this game, you can burn with the torch. So that's something really cool. You can light all the candles, and they're these little riddles and stuff. There's traps like these swinging blades. That's really cool. And you have to go under them. Originally this game was teleport only, but then the developers eventually added free locomotion. And to change the free locomotion, and when you first load up the game, when you're looking at the menu in front of you, you have to actually look 180 degrees behind you and a lot of people probably wouldn't even know that. And then that's where you can switch from teleport to free loco, and there's even an option for sprint. I would definitely say click sprint, because if you don't click that, you're going slow as hell.
It's slow.
It's so slow. Even sprint is like a little too slow for me. But back when they did that update, it probably, maybe they were scared people would get like motion sick or something. So that, you can burn this. I think you can burn this. The stuff on the ground, these leaves and stuff. So one of the best things about this game is that the melee, especially at the time, was really good. And there's a hard mode, so if you choose hard, it'll be even better, because the enemies are more aggressive, and you really have to be really careful with how you block, because you can use your sword or you can use a shield to block their swings. You can get a bow and arrow later in the game. So you have to buy your swords and buy your bow and arrow, buy your shield, and the game, I think you can beat it in 2 hours, so it's not very long. But even today, it's still really cool, and I would still recommend it. It's $20 right now on Steam, so I don't know about $20 for 2 hours. But the developer also added these arena challenges. So once you've beaten the game, you could also do those, where you just fight various enemies in this arena, sort of like Gorn, I guess. There are these skeleton enemies, and there are also flying enemies that shoot fireballs and magic and stuff at you. Then there are boss enemies. I think the bosses are actually Unity Store assets, because I've seen the same bosses in some other VR games, like the game Legend of Luca. I don't know if you guys ever play that. That was also a launch Vive game. Stuff like that. You can shoot your arrow up at a rope to make a bridge fall down. Stuff like that's really cool. When this came out in 2016, it was just amazing. I don't know. You guys have you have anything else?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those that I obviously came late to VR, and this is one that I remember reading about so many times, people saying how good it is.
Yeah.
And I think maybe at the time when it came out, it probably was I can imagine it being an amazing game, because there probably wasn't anything even close to this when it came out.
Yeah.
But I just probably didn't enjoy it as much as maybe because I played other stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably put about 2 hours into it, and I've not finished it, so I don't know how much further I had to go. But I went up to this castle, and then I got this big gem, maybe, and then a key, and then I had to go back down. I opened this door, but then I had to buy something, and I didn't have enough gold to buy it, and I presume I needed that to progress. And At that point, I would have had to have gone back to get more gold and shit, and I just couldn't be bothered. But it wasn't. It's not a bad game. Like, it's got like a Zelda sort of style to it, like a cartoony. There's some good lighting in areas. So it feels quite good. I like the way you can climb up to get. It's like Shadow Legend, where you can climb up and you can get all the little goblets and the coins and everything. And like you say, you can burn. Sometimes if you burn some of the cloth, there's a secret entrance behind the cloth and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The combat, I found maybe I needed to go into the hard mode because I found it a little bit too simplistic. Like it was basically just, I felt like you just had, there was like an area where his head would poke around the shield and you kind of just block. I mean, it was cool the way he attacked you, and you could see where he was coming from, and you could, block, and then I used to just bump on the top of the head until he died. And then obviously there's the bow and arrow. That was quite cool as well, like getting behind cover and then popping round. And talking about it, it's a good game. I'm remembering it probably being more fun than what it actually felt like. But I did enjoy what I played. I think the main thing was just I wasn't really as sold as probably some people was with it, and I just didn't feel like going back to get more gold just so I could get this thing. I don't know how much further I had to go, but it was like a door. Like you have to go all the way through to this castle, and you walk all the way back, and there's a door. The key opens the door to this weapon, and I couldn't buy the weapon because I didn't have enough gold.
Was it like a magic wand or something like that?
Yeah, like a big staff or something. Yeah. So I don't know how much further I had to go.
2 minutes.
Yeah, probably not very far.
That was at the end. Yeah.
So if you play on hard mode and if you actually stand away from enemies and actually sword fight them like the way you're supposed to, it's actually really hard. Like they'll beat your ass, they'll kill you. But I found when I was playing a couple days ago, just to remind myself of the game, I could just get up close to them and get my shield, and just keep swinging like this, and I would kill them. Yeah. But if you don't do that, it's actually pretty tough.
This is one of those games that's been in early access, and it's obviously never coming out of early access. The guy promised, more levels and stuff, and then it's just never turned up. So I don't know what the developer's doing, because this was one of the more popular games when it was first came out. So you'd think that it would have sold quite well. But,
it has over 2,000 reviews on Steam.
So I mean, it's one of the most reviewed probably. So why he just abandoned it and not bothered making a sequel or more levels? I don't know.
Most of the negative reviews I was looking at were people mad about that, and it has a 94 on Steam. And
the dev has. I don't know if he's done anything else since, but he's definitely not done anything with this game, and he's still. He should just take it out of early access, because it is a finished game. It's not like it's a.
He's updated this. He's updated this game since launch. This game came out, in Vive launch.
Yeah.
So then he updated it with those arena battle things at the very end. You have to beat the game to see the arena battles. And then he also updated it to have the hard mode and to add free locomotion. And I'm not sure if more stuff was added.
Yeah. It's a cool game, and it's definitely worth checking out on a sale. But I think there's better like Vengeful Rites, Shadow Legend and things that are better than this game now. So
yeah, I think the melee is better in this game than Shadow Legend. Shadow Legend's melee is weak. It was more the exploration side of things. Roots, have you played this?
Yeah, and I agree with everything you said. I think I have the same problem as you, Alex. Is like when I played this game for the first time last night, I've already experienced Shadow Legends all the way through, which did give me that Shadow Legends vibe, climbing up on the things and grabbing stuff. It was very, very similar. And I had literally just finished playing Vengeful Rites right before that. And that was so good that it left me feeling like this is really good, and I could see myself playing through it. But I would rather play through Vengeful Rites first. It just the mechanics of that magic, I just think it's a really cool game. It's probably one of the better games I've tried this week. But yeah, Vanishing Realms, it's good. I think on a sale it would be good, and I think I will play through it just because it did grab me enough for that. But it's a little bit older, and you've got similar games that have came out and have used similar mechanics and added on to it. So it doesn't feel as good as those, just for those reasons. But I can imagine in 2016 this was like an amazing game, or one of the amazing games that were out.
Yeah, and the fact that your hands are those little balls, that's not. I wish it had like animated hands.
Did this start out as a PlayStation game? Is that why?
No,
Or
it's PC.
No, it was HTC Vive only, wasn't it?
It's so weird that they did the balls. Yeah.
yeah.
It was a very early game. Like I say, it's one of those that I'd wait for a sale, maybe if you've got nothing else to play. But there's better games that have come out since then that I would recommend probably before this one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's the one. That's the one that just got there. That's what I couldn't buy.
Yeah.
Staff? Okay.
Yeah, that's where I got to, and I couldn't buy it. So I was gonna have to go back to get more gold, and I was like, oh, fuck
You
it,
should
I can't
screw
do
it.
Yeah,
You'll sit through blind for an hour and a half of nightmarish gameplay to finish it, but this, fuck getting the more gold.
It was just because I was gonna have to go. Or literally, would have to just go back just to keep finding gold. Basically,
it's all timing too. Like if you went back in and did it, it wouldn't be that big a deal. But when you went at that point, you weren't going back in for gold. I know exactly where you were at. It's like, no, I'm not. I'm done.
Yeah.
So.
Maybe blind had already taken it out of you, and you're just like, fuck it.
Yeah. No, I played this one. This was one of the earlier ones I played when I got VR because it got recommended so much. So.
Okay.
This was one of the earlier like Melee games I played, and it was fun, but it didn't blow me away like people were saying, "Oh my god, it's amazing," and hyping it up probably more, which made me think it was going to be better than it was. But yeah, it's still good, and it's still a recommendation, but it's not obviously it doesn't stand up to obviously other stuff like Vengeful Rites. I'm sure you'd recommend that over this.
Yeah. I went back to look at my 2016 review of this game when it came out, and I was like, this is the best, in all caps, Vive game. You must get it. I don't...
That's pretty much what I was reading everywhere. It's like, oh my god, this is... Yeah, it's like, oh my god, I need to play this game. Yeah.
It makes sense, though. All you had was tech demos, and like, you had some games, but nothing that was like this elaborate. So probably at the time, this was the game to buy, right?
Yeah, this was it. I think Super Hot came out in 2016, so that was another one. But this was like the only fantasy medieval game of any note, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyone else got anything to say on it?
No.
Nope. Okay, I'll move on to my next game, which is The Climb. This is an Oculus exclusive, which I actually got this on a really good sale. I think it was $5.99.
Wow.
It was one of those that I've been keeping my eye on it, but it just the concept of I'm climbing a mountain. It doesn't sound like it's going to be much fun, so I never really appreciated what it was. But then when I got the game, I enjoyed it so much. I played through it pretty much every night, like just one climb a night, just until I'd gone through all the different routes, and. Yeah, really good, really good. It's made by Crytek, so it looks beautiful. I'd recommend turning off the TXAA in the options and cranking super sampling. The Crytek games ignore built-in super sampling, so you need to use the in-game one because Oculus Tool Tray doesn't work. So make sure you turn that up, otherwise it looks fuzzy. But yeah, I cranked that up like to 1.5 and turned everything up to max, and it does run in ASW sometimes, but it still looks great, and it's one of the better looking games in virtual reality. This is actually one of those games that I really want to go back to when I get the index, because when you're on top of the mountain and you're looking out and everything looks beautiful, you really do notice the screen door, because obviously you're looking so far away in the distance. But the way that they laid this out is just more than what I was expecting. The actual world felt real. It felt alive. When you're stood on your platform before you climb up, you can look around and there's sailboats going around. There's gliders, there's airplanes flying around, there's birds, and then as you're climbing, there's like cockroaches that'll crawl across your hand. Sometimes there's bats that'll fly out. They've done a really good job of making this feel like a real world. This one, my favorite level was when you're in the Alps and you've got to go across this cable car, and then these wingsuit guys come flying past you, and like they just go woo, you can hear them screaming, and you can just see them go like straight past you, and like you're just hanging off this mountain, and you've got these guys flying past you, and then you have to jump across to this cable car, and then the cable car starts moving while you're hung on the side of it. There's one where you're in the Antarctic type environment, and there's this massive there's these massive glaciers, icebergs in the water, and they're moving around and they're like banging against each other, and the sense of scale feels really good in this game. You really feel like you are up high on the mountain, and like there's one bit where you have to go across this crashed plane and these wolves run past you, and there's really detailed the way that they've done the world. And every time you get to the top, something happens. Like there'll be a glider that comes past you, or a bird will fly past, or the airplanes. There's a volcano that erupts, and it's really that one is cool as well. The one with the it's at night in like the Grand Canyon, and there's hot air balloons everywhere, and there's a festival going on in the background. You can hear the music kind of in the background, and then you have to go onto the side of the air balloons, and like the way that they've designed the levels is really clever. They're not just what I expected. I thought it was just going to be, just climb up this mountain, blah, blah, blah. The way that they've designed it, like sometimes you go on a ladder and the ladder will fall down and you've got to like jump across caverns, and really impressive, graphically impressive. The gameplay, you've got like a tourist mode where you can just go through, you don't have to worry about like your chalk in your hands, or you can have the main mode where you actually chalk, and to chalk, you have to hold. I think you hold the grip button and you like shake your hands like you're gonna you're doing something wrong. I can imagine from outside watching someone just doing this. It looks. But to be honest with you, I didn't end up using the chalk because I just found as long as you moved fast enough, you didn't really need to worry about chalking your hands. So I was just moving around. I didn't bother with the chalk mechanic because I just found the chalk mechanic just got a bit annoying after a while, constantly having to stop, and then you'd have to hang. Because if you let go of the trigger, I think it's the triggers that you use to grip, and if you let go of the trigger halfway, you've got like a little meter, and if you keep it within that meter, you can let go of one hand, and then you can like re-chalk. So it's part of the gameplay mechanic, but I found that you don't need to do it. You can just as long as you move, as long as you don't have your one hand off long enough, you won't fall. You'll be able to just move from one place to the other. But it really has your reaching as well. Sometimes like you kind of like you're trying to reach over and then you can't quite get a grip and you have to readjust, and like sometimes you have to switch to this hand, and it's really. And then there's some of the hold points crumble and fall, so you've only got a certain amount of time. Sometimes you've got some with spikes where you have to kind of like scrape the top off, so you've got to hold on one hand and like use your trigger to hold it in the right position. Then you're swiping the dirt off before you can move up. There's one bit where you like a helicopter comes down and there's a guy hanging out, and like you're turning around and he's taking photographs of you. It's just really cool. Some of the detail that they put into this game, really, you can tell it's been made by Crytek, who are obviously a very talented developer, and this is another one of those AAA feel games in the detail and the world and everything. And I loved it. Played through it, and I can't wait. I'm hoping that I can play with this with Revive, with the Index, with the higher res screen, and if it works, I plan on going through them all again. Just to enjoy them with the extra the clarity of the screen and everything. So
I bought this when it came out, and I only had a Vive back then, and I used Revive, and the performance was bad.
Right.
So that's part of the reason I got a Rift.
I know it was gamepad only when it came out originally.
Yeah, but when I got it, I only bought it once it supported.
Touch controllers.
Motion controllers. yeah, I wouldn't bother with the gamepad.
No.
But so the performance was bad. Maybe it's better now. So hopefully it'll perform
I'll
well.
definitely try it because I really want to try it. This is one of those. Again, it's just so beautiful, but
Yeah.
when you're looking out, you can really see that resolution, the screen door. But did you enjoy it as much as me, or were
Oh
you not
yeah,
quite as?
I've done all the regular levels. Then there's all these bouldering levels that I need to do.
Yeah, I haven't
Uh,
done those. They're really hard, the bouldering ones. I
yeah, they're
can't.
hard.
They're really hard. I've not done any of them actually. I just can't even figure out a way because with the regular levels you kind of have a path, like a set path. You can sometimes it diverts a little bit, but it's not. But the bouldering one is kind of like it's quite a short climb just to the top of like a boulder, I suppose. And there's multiple routes, but you've got to like jump up and
Yeah, a lot of
it's
jumping
really
and stuff.
difficult. Yeah. Which was your favorite climb? Do you think?
I can't remember. It's been too long. I liked them all, and whenever I got to the top, I would actually stand there for a while and just because there different stuff would happen,
Yeah.
different things would animate, and I just wanted to see what am I gonna
Yes.
see this time.
Sometimes I'd like sit there, just sit on the top, and you're like stood or sat, and you're just looking at it. That's why it's one of those that I wanted to enjoy the view, but you do notice that screen door, and that's why I think if I can go back, I think I'd spend more time just admiring the view because it's so beautiful. The detail, the scenery. Like you look back and there's old buildings, and like I said, there's the one with the festival going on in the background, and I was just really surprised at the detail that they put in. It's just not what I expected. I expected it to be quite simplistic and just you climbing a mountain, but they put a lot of thought into it, definitely.
Oh yeah, the Quest version. Well, they're gonna have to dumb it down a lot.
Yeah, that's one thing because one of the appeals of this is the graphics. Like, obviously, the climbing aspect's cool, but the visuals for me kept me like when you get into the top and you see that little thing that happens, like a volcano erupting or something happened. That's always that kept you going, like kept me going, wanting to get to the top just to see what was going to happen next, sort of thing. Yeah, and you can do like speed runs and challenge. Like if someone else does the time, you can go against them and you can actually see their ghost. And it's not something I've tried to do, but
Now I got to see if I can see your times, and then we can compete.
yeah, I mean that's definitely a reason to go back in if you did that.
Yeah.
But I wasn't rushing. That's the thing when I first went through. I was just taking my time and soaking it all up and enjoying the visuals of it all. But yeah.
You said you weren't chalking, so wouldn't you have to rush or no?
It wasn't. I was. It wasn't. It was just I just couldn't be bothered to mess about with the chalk. I was just. So I was kind of. I wasn't like if you hold your hands both. If you've got both hands held on, you don't have to worry about falling down. It's only when you've got one hand on that chalking comes into it because it can affect your stamina. So if you're chalked up, you can hold them with one hand for longer. So as long as you don't spend too long, or if you learn obviously to do the kind of with the trigger, you don't even have to worry about the chalk neither. But yeah, the chalk got on my nerves after a little bit. I wish they'd come up with even just a way you could just like on your back, like maybe just put your hand down your back like you do in real life.
That would be much better.
That would have been enough. Yeah.
Just let me push a button. Like
Yeah,
I don't want to do this, because it's really weird. The whole thing, it didn't feel intuitive, and half the time you're shaking, and it's like, okay, it should have done it by now, and then it'll click in. I didn't like it.
No, I didn't like it, but I think just having some sort of chalk pouch at the back that you put your hand into would have been enough, rather than you having to.
Yeah, you hear this sound that's like, or how do you even?
Yes, it's like a blub 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 blub.
Yeah.
It's a bit arcadey. They could have done a better system, but that's the only negative I've personally found. Everything else, I can't follow the game really, and sometimes because you'd have to jump like through areas, and sometimes at first I was doing it where I was kind of like throwing myself, and I found like hit and miss. But you can press a button, so you can kind of just look where you want to go, press a button, and then that's full force. And I found it easier to judge just by doing that rather than trying to, because sometimes you won't go far enough or something. So
yeah, Roots. So did you not play it much?
No, I did
Oh.
actually. I was just waiting for my chance to talk.
Sorry.
No, you guys were very detailed, which is awesome. No, I didn't like the chalking. What I thought, because I got this, I don't, I think I got it on a sale, probably not as good a sale as you got, Alex. But what impressed me about it, like you said, the visuals, the immersion, like I'm not afraid of heights, generally. But as I'm going through doing this, I noticed initially, like I was gripping the controller really hard and didn't even realize it until I'm like, oh my God, like because you feel like you're that high up, and you don't want to let go. And even though you're not going to die if you fall, I still don't want to fall. So it really gave me a good feeling of like I really was climbing something. And then, like you said, you get to the top, and yeah, I would get up there and I would do the whole, yeah, I did it, because it felt like you accomplished it. You got to the top. Visually, this game, I don't think there's any other climbing games I've played now after playing just a couple of those, even indie ones recently, like that one you got, Don't Look Down, or I don't know what was that one, Justin, last week?
We don't look down, but then there's also with loneliness.
Oh yeah, With Loneliness. Yeah, either one of those
They don't
are
touch
very,
this.
very, yeah, they're technical. Like you're moving around and your shit's coming at you. This is more like you really feel like you're actually on a mountain climbing to the top, and like Alex said, getting to see all these cool visuals and listen and watch those guys swoop right by you. It's visually a very impressive game, and I definitely think if you like climbing type of things, or even if you want to check out impressive visuals, I think this is definitely worth checking out for sure.
It's good demo material as well. If you put the tourist mode on and just let someone... It was weird because the first time I tried it, it felt almost like I was pulling the world rather than me pulling myself. I don't know if you guys felt that. But then your brain kind of adjusts and then you just get used to it, and then you feel more like you... Because you are technically pulling the world around because you're not moving anywhere. But it's like that's the same with what was that, Mission ISS? I remember playing that free experience, and that was kind of similar, where you grab things and you move yourself around like Lone Echo, and it felt more like I was grabbing the world and moving the world around. But then after a while, your brain kind of adjusts and you feel more like you're moving yourself around. It's weird, but
That is weird.
yeah. I think we've said enough on that one, so we'll move on to the last game, which is Roots. What have you got to talk about?
Last game is Gunheart by Drifter Entertainment. It's been out since June 4th, 2018, and it's currently on sale for $19.99. I think this was another game that released for $29.99, and they've released it down, or reduced it down to $19.99 as a permanent. I know it was just on sale last week for $14.99, and that's what kind of caught my eye. And I thought, man, people need to know how cool this game is. Like, I noticed up there, it said something about Halo and so forth. Like, to me, this game feels like Destiny 2 on crack in VR. Like, you've got the double jump. It's all fast paced. You're whipping around. You got all these alien bugs and things attacking you. And the biggest thing is, like, if you get hit by something, you've got a shield, but your shield goes down, and now you need to start moving, because if you get hit again, you're going to die. So it gives you that grace period where you can get hit by something and then you start moving the fuck around as much as you can until your shield goes back up, which is very similar to Destiny 2. But I've not played a more fast-paced, fun shooting game in VR than this one. Now, the AI is, I mean, it's good. It's not 100% the brightest. Like, they'll just come flying at you and jumping around and doing all sorts of weird shit. But it is good, and they've got several different types of guns you can unlock, and even like a super gun, depending on which gun thing you choose. Like, you bring your two hands together and it gives you like a super big gun, and so you'll have these bigger enemies that come out that you need to use those weapons for. And it's all about collecting the cash as you're going, because that's what you use for not only your weapons, but you upgrade a lot of other aspects of your fighting. So it gives you a lot of those, the same thing we've been talking about, kind of a theme today, those things that bring you back into the game, the leveling, the different guns, does it very, very well. And I really like it, and I haven't really played too much in multiplayer except for with a couple of randoms. But I know it's on our list to check out together, and I think it'll be a lot of fun for all of us to play. So
Yeah, I
Yeah,
have
this
it,
was
but
one.
sorry.
Yeah, I'm the same. I bought it just for us to play together, and I've been waiting to play it together because I want to experience it with you guys. So I think Justin, you're the same.
Yep. Haven't touched it.
No,
Yeah.
I've got it installed. It's all ready to go. So we need to arrange for a bit of a game,
Yeah.
maybe next weekend, and try and narrow down a time
Is
to
it
play this.
is it 3-player?
I know it's at least 3. It might be 4. I think it's 3 though. But what's cool about it is it's got all these quests and daily quests and missions and like it's just the replayability is it just gives you so much to do, and it looks really cool too. Those aliens are very creepy, bug looking things, but
Yeah.
I think the gameplay is what sells it to me. It just feels so good.
It looks like a proper polished, AAA game, and I know it's made by Drifter, who they've got a lot of pedigree. The guys have all come from various studios who have made Gears of War, and I think some of them made Halo and stuff. So, these guys have got, they've got chops. They know what they're doing. They actually ported the Robo Recall over to the Quest as well. So, they're still getting
Gears of War, Call of Duty, Halo, Doom, Unreal, Quake. Well,
yeah.
There's a lot of big games, right?
They've had so they're experienced devs. It's actually flat as well. You can play it on flat, but it was originally just VR. I think they've added that afterwards. But this is one of those where I feel like it doesn't probably get enough love, and I don't think maybe it didn't sell enough. But luckily, Oculus have commissioned them to do Robo Recall, so they're still in business, and hopefully, because we need developers like this to make these sort of games, because these are the games that we're crying out for. And then I don't know, sometimes games like this, I think maybe it was an early access game, and maybe it wasn't that good when it first came out, and then they've added it, and it's one of those risky things with early access where they bring a game out and then the initial launch comes out and then it gets forgotten, because obviously people don't really pay any attention to it once it's that initial launch. So we need to check it out and maybe revisit it once we've all played it, and maybe talk about it again.
But I think you're right though. The everything that you're talking about is that AAA. Because they've done so much in other games, even though they're moving to VR, they know all those things they've fine-tuned for gaming. Like, it really is an art to keeping people in the game. How much can we get you to stay in this game? And this is a game that's showing you, or showing us, that it's starting to translate over, and it's taking a while, but I'm starting to see it pick up pace, and I think within a couple of years we're going to start seeing way more legit AAA stuff coming on into the scene for sure.
Yeah. So does this have any sort of actual, like, a campaign, or what's?
Well, it's got kind of like it's not really campaign, but they have voiceovers, and it's comedy, and like there's some girl, she's talking and saying stuff, and you need to go here, and it's not like a story driven type of thing, but there is commentary, and that kind of makes it interesting per quest and stuff. But it's definitely not a story driven game. It's more of like you get in there and just you're doing these missions, and they have some humor to it, but you're really trying to collect money, upgrade your weapons, make it to the next thing, and so forth.
Okay, so we'll come back to this one. I think the best thing to do is we'll chat on Discord. We'll find out if it's 3-player or 4-player, and then we'll work out for 3 of us to play maybe next weekend, and then one of us can pick it again, and we'll really talk about it again, because it does look like something that we really need to give some love to, and I think it'd be good to revisit it once we've all played it and get more impressions on it. So,
did you already beat it, Roots?
No, well, I mean, I made it through all the quests, and I've upgraded my weapons and stuff. I don't know if they've added anything in the last month or two because I've played it so much. I didn't even I had so many new games to check out. I didn't even revisit it this week. But yeah, it's definitely I can't remember ever any 1 minute of playing it thinking, this is kind of boring. It was always like I jumped in and just the jump when I'm jumping around and you, Justin, being wireless,
Hmm.
I can only imagine how it's going to feel for you because for me it just felt amazing. And I love Destiny too, so it gave me that feel of oh my God, I almost feel like I'm playing Destiny 2 in VR. So
Okay, we need to make arrangements for this. So.
for sure.
Right, we need to end this because this is like
Yeah.
the marathon of all marathons, nearly 3.5 hours now.
Gotta
So,
go to the
Yeah.
bathroom.
yeah, I
Yeah.
need to go for eat
That,
and.
that's where I ran to earlier.
Okay, so we're gonna leave it there. This has been another episode of Virtual Strangers, the only VR games focused podcast, if you want to call it that. We will speak to everyone next week. Enjoy your Rift S, enjoy your Quest. Later.
Subscribe, like the
Subscribe,
video,
yeah,
comment,
all
all the
yep.
bells and whistles.
that stuff.
Thanks for watching.
Cool.
Later.